This boy was brutally betrayed by his own sister. For her, he rose to become the greatest knight. But in the end, it all proved utterly useless. When he closed his eyes, he reawakened years in the past. Just then, a girl burst through the door, kicking it open, shouting and furiously demanding answers. He thrashed things around the room, yelling that he couldn't comprehend any of it, all because of a man named Song Fei. This time, Feng didn't hold back a single bit. He slapped her hard across the face, his eyes ice cold. He declared that his patience had completely run out. "Keep talking, and I'll break your mouth." Then, he slammed the bedroom door violently shut. "You're no longer my sister." In his previous life, Feng lost countless things protecting her, only to face utter betrayal in the end. But this time, he will harness all his knowledge to transform into a monster of brute strength. And Song Fei, he will surely be killed. Then, a mysterious figure suddenly appears, remarking that this Qin Feng is truly incredible. She reveals he was the one who cleared the ruins, but now she intends to claim the divine artifact for herself. Lying on the ground, completely covered in blood, he weakly asks why they betrayed him now. In utter despair, he screams her name, Qin Xiaoyu, calling her his dear sister. But the girl scoffs, a cruel smirk on her face, saying he's not her brother at all, just an adopted orphan. Just then, a man appears, scolding her sharply, but she insists her fake brother was very useful. The guy thanks Qin Feng, explaining that the blade, now lodged in his body, will mercilessly drain all his life force away. Filled with seething hatred, the hero regrets risking everything for her, saying he utterly misjudged her. She continues, saying he was only ever useful for protecting her. But now, his value has completely vanished. Then the traitor moves in for the final, fatal blow, warning that he'll take good care of the girl, even on the absolute brink of death. Qin Feng yells that he won't let them get away with this. And in an instant, the protagonist is finished, falling lifelessly amidst the heavy, pouring rain. The story then reveals that in 2025, a bizarre game suddenly materialized worldwide. Within this game, players can manifest their extraordinary abilities in the real world, becoming incredibly powerful from that moment on. The world was utterly transformed and chaos spread everywhere. After overcoming perilous dangers and narrowly escaping death, he finally conquered the ancient god's ruins. But he never imagined he would be stabbed in the back. In his moment of glory, the devastating price of his success was the betrayal of his own family, his only kin, which made him scream out in agonizing pain. So, all his life's tireless efforts only paved the way for someone else's triumph. He refuses to accept this bitter fate, vowing that if he could live again, he would fight only for himself. The scene then changes completely, and we see our hero waking up in a quiet room. He sits up in bed, utterly confused, wondering where on earth he was. Is this even the real world? And when he grabs his phone, he's shocked to see the year displayed, 2025. Completely baffled, he stares out the window, trying to process what could have possibly happened for him to be here. Then it suddenly hits him. He realizes he's been reborn 9 years before the game even started. But suddenly, his bedroom door is kicked open with a powerful, deafening blow. It was his sister screaming fiercely at him, asking why he hadn't answered her calls. He remembers this specific day, when she fought with him over the idol, Song Fei. Furious, she then accuses him of being responsible for her brother's downfall and demanding money. Tired of her incessant shouting, he strikes back with a sharp slap across her face, leaving her completely shocked from the sheer force of the blow. The girl tumbles to the floor amidst the mess she herself had created. She immediately starts to cry, unable to believe he actually had the nerve to hit her. He warns her that he has no time to argue, and if she keeps it up, he'll break her jaw. Then he throws a card on the floor, saying he'll return their parents' money. For their parents' sake, he won't stoop to her level. But he warns her that from this moment forward, everything has changed. Then he slams the door shut, declaring he no longer has a sister like her. The girl is left crumpled on the living room floor, weeping alone after hearing those crushing words. In his room, he reflects on how he squandered so many chances in his past life, always protecting her. Now, without that burden, he's eager to see how far he can ascend on his own. This time, he'll leverage his knowledge to outpace everyone in the game. As for Song Fei, our protagonist vows to personally rip his head off. With that declaration, a blue energy portal bursts open, and he steps in a game world. He arrives at the selection hall, remembering he was stuck here for hours. The first time in his past life. He chose to be a warrior back then, but now, without her, he can solo much faster. He decides that mobility and reaction time are paramount for his new journey. Then, with a single touch, he finally chooses the assassin class for this new life. Suddenly, a screen blazes to life, announcing that the divine artifact has successfully connected to him. With that, the Eye of Judgment activates, granting him the best profession and talent in the game. He smiles, understanding that the artifact recognized him, and perhaps was even the cause of his return. At that moment, mysterious shadows begin to envelop him, taking him completely by surprise. The darkness consumes him entirely, and the system announces he has gained a secret profession. The specialization then begins, and in mere seconds, the entire process is complete. A message appears, revealing what he has become. He is now a shadow. As he emerges from the darkness, his appearance is dramatically different. With white hair and a piercing, dark gaze, he discovers that shadow is the strongest hidden profession, boasting an absurd amount of power. The thing is, every class has a chance to evolve, but his authority made it a certainty. The system explains that this power is a primal authority, a being who defies all rules and order. In his previous life, humanity only much later discovered the power of order. But now, he already wields that power. His new goal, escaping the realm of the gods. To activate it, the system announces that the selection is complete. Now, he needs a nickname for the game. Since his profession was born from the shadows, he decides his new name will be Shadow. With that, he enters the abandoned realm of the gods, a place teeming with dangerous monsters. But he appears in Shell City, which is a designated safe zone where players can attack each other. All around, several players are utterly desperate, completely baffled by how they ended up here. He knows that to get ahead, he can't wait for anyone. Practice waits for no one. So, he activates one of his skills, instantly drawing the attention of everyone nearby. Just then, a group of players respawns in the city, complaining that if they die, they just come right back here. They scream in terror, having lost half their health to a seemingly weak monster. Desperate, the guys ask Sister Lizzie what they should do. Our hero now notices the girl, seeing that she also seems to possess a secret class. She invites him to join her group, but he coldly refuses, stating he doesn't need their help. The group is outraged by his sheer arrogance, thinking the guy is completely full of himself. The blonde then sees his name, Shadow. She scoffs, thinking he believes he's all that. But one of them suggests following him, to observe his skills and pick up some tips. And with a wicked smile, she thinks to herself that she also wants to see how he'll die, all alone, paying no mind to the others. Our hero presses on, leaving the starting city. The blonde girl thinks the area is perilous, which is why she formed a party right away. But the very first monster they found wiped out her entire team in the blink of an eye. Meanwhile, the guys notice his weapon, speed, and gear are all different. Because of this, she decides that following Shadow could yield some incredibly important information. He pauses for a moment, senses twitching, sensing an unseen gaze fixed on him from afar. He quickly glances over, and the girl instantly hides, wondering if he somehow sensed her presence. Then, he unleashes his first skill, Shadow Stealth, completely cloaking himself in darkness. And in the literal blink of an eye, our protagonist simply vanishes, dissolving into the smoke. The group is left absolutely speechless, wondering how he could possibly have an invisibility skill. They decide to head back to the city. It's simply too dangerous out here, they agree, and they've already lost half their HP. While still cloaked in invisibility, thinks to himself with a smirk that the Shadow class makes him impossible to detect. Early on, he internally scoffs at the group's foolishness, since the city doesn't make anyone stronger. It only protects them. His stealth is about to run out, but the cooldown has already started, so it's no problem. He quickly checks his stats, noticing the Shadow class grants bonuses to absolutely everything, way better than the Warrior class. He realizes he still has 5 points left, and realizes most players make a critical mistake. With a quick tap on the screen, he decides to put all his attribute points into agility. Agility, he knows, is absolutely key in the beginning. The only way to actually kill monsters is by drastically increasing your speed. Suddenly, an eerie cry echoes, coming from deep within the dark forest. The unsettling sounds continue, seemingly from some bizarre creature lurking nearby. Then he spots a level 1 creeper monster, which appears to be in the midst of evolving. He immediately recognizes the creature and is absolutely certain it's the one that completely wiped out that group of newbies from its visible wounds. He can tell the party managed to deal some damage, but it wasn't enough. Then in a swift, agile move, our hero effortlessly dodges the creature's attack. As it whizzes past him, the monster then turns, and the two face off for a tense moment, ready for combat. But the protagonist uses his stealth again, preparing for a devastating surprise attack. He vanishes once more, completely blending into the surrounding forest shadows. The creature looks around, utterly confused, unsure where he went, until suddenly he drops down from the sky with a powerful strike that shatters his invisibility. The damage is absolutely insane. He realizes the backstab, stacked with other skills, just killed the creature instantly. He stands silent for a moment, processing the outcome of this swift battle. Then he remembers that as a warrior, a critical hit barely dealt 40 damage. Back then, he struggled to take down a creeper, nearly dying in the process. But now, with his new power, he absorbs the life force the monster was carrying. The system notifies him that he's gained 54 years of life, which the creature had stolen from other players. Just then, the Eye of Judgment activates again, granting him the infinite evolution talent. Now he gains evolution points every 24 hours, or by defeating bosses solo. He's shocked, having never heard of this before, and decides to test the power immediately. Using his points, he successfully upgrades Shadow, Stealth, and Backstab. The skill now lasts 32 seconds, allowing him to remain permanently invisible. Nearby, a player brags about killing a monster, saying the game is easy peasy. He promises to protect the girl beside him, claiming he could take on 10 enemies. The protagonist just watches, listening to their conversation and sensing the approaching danger. A creature appears in the trees, and the player offers to help whoever is in trouble. But our hero recognizes the monster, identifying it as a dangerous nourisher type. The girl points out that the guy disappeared, but the tough guy thinks he just ran off scared. But suddenly, a giant spider descends from the tree, surprising the two players. The guy panics, screaming and asking, "What the hell is that bizarre thing?" The game screen shows it's a level 1 nourisher, a bronze-grade creature, while invisible. Our hero knows this creature is an area boss, far too strong for newbies. But for him, this is perfect. A perfect chance to test his newly upgraded skills. He then erupts from the shadows, landing a powerful blow directly on the spider's eyes. The creature shrieks in agony from the sudden assault, which of course strikes right at its weak spot. And without wasting a single second, he uses Shadow Stealth to vanish into thin air. Again, the monstrous creature continues to shriek, and the system confirms that strike dealt massive damage. He thinks to himself, that was a close call, as just one attack from that monstrosity would have killed him instantly. Absolutely furious from the attack, the creature begins to furiously slam the ground. With all its might, he realizes the spider is enraged. Since these monsters are actually quite intelligent, he notices it's attacking completely blindly, and a brilliant strategy forms in his mind. So he hurls a rock far off into the distance, confirming its absolute blind spot is its back. The rock lands a direct hit on the spider's weak spot, dealing an absurd amount of damage to the creature. The system proudly displays the damage, and he instantly confirms. His hunch about its weakness was absolutely correct. He realizes his immense damage comes from his skills, so even a simple rock becomes a deadly weapon. With this crucial insight, he devises a cunning tactic. Wait for his skills to cool down, and then just throw another rock. And the plan works. The rock activates all the bonuses and deals massive damage once again. Right after attacking, he activates Shadow Stealth to become completely invisible once more. The strategy is brilliantly simple. Stay hidden until the cooldown is over. Then attack the creature again. The scene abruptly shifts back to the city, where a massive system announcement grabs everyone's attention. A ranking board appears in the sky, showing that Shadow was the very first to reach level 2. The players are absolutely shocked. They can barely survive. Yet someone has already killed a boss solo. The blonde girl's party immediately recognizes the name. unable to believe he pulled off such an incredible feat. Even the guy who thought he was so tough realizes it was Shadow who killed that giant spider. And by finally killing the boss, he levels up and gets a ton of fantastic rewards all at once. But the absolute best part was a book that promises extra loot drops. From vanquished monsters, he recalls a guy from his past life who shot to fame just for possessing this rare skill. A sudden glint sparks in his eyes as a brilliant idea ignites in his mind. He then has a sudden realization. If he combines this new power with his existing talents, he can boost the drop rate infinitely. Showing students calmly strolling down the school street. Her friend asks if she's not going to apologize, but Xiaoyu insists she did nothing wrong. She complains that he always meddles, declaring she only needs her idol, Songfei. When they finally reach school, her friend spots a strange crowd gathered around their classroom. Curious, she squeezes through the throngs of students to see what's going on. Then she sees a classmate, Zhang Wei, slumped on a desk, almost transparent. The guys explain he just took a nap and suddenly turned bizarrely transparent like this. It's explained that this phenomenon is occurring all over the world. A bizarre, utterly unexplained phenomenon. Furious, Xiaoyu flat out refuses to call her brother, even wishing he would just drop dead. Back in the game, Shadow uses his accumulated points and evolves the Greedy Hand skill to Gold tier. With the skill activated, he instantly gains more evolution points. In 46 days of life, he celebrates the fantastic result, planning to gather even more points to achieve a 100% drop rate chance. He then decides to equip the dagger he previously won to significantly speed up his progress in the game. He knows the world will soon descend into utter chaos when people discover they can bring items from the game into reality. Suddenly, he hears someone yelling to get out of the way, instantly putting him on alert. He's on top of a cliff when he hears someone shouting, "Be careful," nearby. The scene shifts to show a group of players locked in battle with a very strange red monster. Shadow watches from a safe distance, thinking this is the absolute perfect moment for him to act. He recognizes the group's leader, Wang Mong, and remembers the rumors about his team of rare classes. To defend himself, Wang Mong shouts the name of his skill. A sacred barrier flares to life. His class, a holy shield warrior, granting him double stats and invincibility. Meanwhile, one of his allies, a mage, unleashes a fiery spell to strike. The fireball slams into the monster dead on, but only deals a measly 70 damage. That's because her class, Prophet, already doubles the damage of a normal mage. The rest of the team also boasts secret classes, like a sharpshooter and even an oracle priest, with a powerful combined attack. They manage to knock the monster to the ground for a moment, but the beast recovers quickly, attacking with enough force to visibly crack the leader's shield. The group complains the boss is just too fast, but Wang Mong tells them to keep pressing the attack. Shadow thinks the guy is overly optimistic, knowing he's forgotten the forest's true dangers, because the prolonged battle ends up attracting other monsters, catching everyone completely by surprise. He instantly recognizes the creature, a level 2 corruptor that launches ranged sludge attacks. At that crucial moment, one of the team members yells for the boss to watch out for this new enemy. The guy charges forward and Shadow notices. It's another secret class he's never seen, but his attack deals pathetic damage, and he complains the monster's defense is too high. Suddenly, the sludge creature prepares to counterattack. With everything it's got, the creature's spit, a disgusting, corrosive slime, slows everyone down, sticking them to the ground. With that, the mage is cornered by the monster, screaming for help, with nowhere left to run. But then from the cliff's top, a dark dagger streaks towards the creature's head. The weapon strikes the corruptor dead on, piercing its skull with an impossibly precise strike. The entire team is utterly shocked by the scene, unable to believe what just unfolded before them. They realize the monster died instantly and wonder who could possibly be helping them. The swordsman can't comprehend how a level 2 corruptor was killed in a single hit, and before they can even process it, another dagger flashes out, slamming into the second monster's back. The leader is absolutely floored by this instant kill. He snaps at the team not to get distracted. They need to keep pushing, only the predator remains. As Shadow collects his hard-earned rewards, the battle rages on. He quickly analyzes his new poison dart skill, and immediately decides to evolve it. Meanwhile, the monstrous creature strikes again, piercing Wang Ming directly in the chest. With a guttural scream, he's impaled by the beast, which ruthlessly flings him aside. The team's healer cries out in despair, warning that he can't heal him quickly enough. Even at death's door, Wang Ming urges his friends to run and escape. But then, out of nowhere, a poison dart strikes the creature's mouth, dealing an absolutely absurd amount of damage. The entire team is utterly stunned, as this mysterious attack instantly drains half of the boss's health. With the potent poison taking hold, the creature begins to writhe and growl in agony. Green, noxious liquid drips all over its body, a clear sign of the beast's immense suffering. The continuous damage relentlessly drains the monster's life, leaving it utterly unable to fight back. Perched in a tree, Shadow levels up to 3, celebrating as the poison activates his passive skill. Lying on the ground, Wang Ming is utterly bewildered by this power, questioning if this guy is even human. Suddenly, the light from the monster's loot vanishes, right before his eyes, leaving him completely confused. He gets up and heartily thanks their mysterious helper, asking for the name of his savior. But Shadow quickly warns him, telling him not to trust people so easily in these forests. Wang Ming thanks him for the crucial warning, then introduces himself and offers his help if Shadow ever needs anything. Shadow finds the guy surprisingly trustworthy and realizes something big. Wang Ming could be an excellent channel for selling his loot. So he activates Greedy Hand, instantly gaining more evolution points, life, and even a brand new pair of boots. He considers the sheer number of items he's collected and firmly decides he'll return to the city soon to trade everything for even more life points. With a burning, hateful glare, he swears he'll hunt down Song Fei soon to finally settle their score. The scene then shifts to a rainy forest. A group of adventurers is battling grotesque tree monsters. Among them, Wang Ming despairs upon spotting a monstrous crimson creature, shrieking that even more monsters are incoming. His friends panic, one asking why their comrade is just standing there, doing absolutely nothing. But then, they all gaze ahead, utterly petrified by a colossal, bizarre creature that suddenly materializes. The monster begins to pulsate with an eerie glow, gathering a dark, volatile purple energy to unleash a devastating attack. It then fires off numerous energy spikes, mercilessly piercing the players' bodies. We cut to a bustling medieval city, where the players mysteriously reappear, confused and utterly frightened by the ordeal. One guy laments, "The monsters always move in packs. We need to reach level 3 to escape this." Another player suggests they need a larger group, perhaps 10 people just to survive. But a veteran warns that large groups only attract bosses, claiming he saw one creature slaughter 30 people in an instant. The archer, Lizzie, explains that only their consciousness is in the game, and their real bodies can die if they perish here. One of her partners complains. They've already died 3 times. Lizzie insists they absolutely cannot die again. She then glances at the rankings and is utterly shocked to see that someone named Shadow is already level 3. With this in mind, Lizzie realizes he must know a way to level up quickly. She then orders the news to be spread far and wide, promising 10 million in currency to anyone who brings Shadow to her. The scene cuts back to the dark forest, where a tree monster screams in agony as it's struck by a powerful skill. It's Shadow, who, after defeating the creature, gains evolution points and is quite pleased with the result. He then decides to use his points to evolve his Hand of Avarice skill, spending them all at once. Shadow is impressed with the new effect, which now increases the chance of getting even rarer items. Suddenly, he glances to the side, noticing a strange presence approaching in the darkness. He comes face to face with that same bizarre creature, the monster ominously known as the Cursed One. The system identifies it as a bronze-level boss. That's almost a silver-level boss. But Shadow notices his backpack is completely full, so he decides to mark the location on his map, planning to return later. His plan is simple. He'll level up, empty his backpack, and only then come back to take down the boss. The scene then shifts back to the city, where players remain lost and utterly hopeless. Their people are buzzing about the 10 million reward, thinking that only the rich will be able to save themselves. Suddenly, Shadow appears in the middle of the square, shrouded in a dark aura that sends shivers down everyone's spines. He then opens a mysterious screen in front of him, preparing to start selling some of his acquired items. With that, he casually sits on the ground and makes an announcement, a 10-minute flash sale of equipment and skills. The crowd goes wild, realizing he's Shadow, the top-ranked player who took down a boss. In the crowd, a player comments that you can't even see Shadow's face because he activated a special feature. Just then, a mage approaches, asking him how much the cone of ice spell costs. Shadow replies the price is 100 negotiable days of life. He also recognizes her as Grey Rose. She thinks the price is way too high and tries to haggle for a discount, but he warns her that the skill is worth every single day. The mage then asks if she can pay with real-world money, but Shadow rejects the offer on the spot. She remains silent for a moment, pondering what to do to get the item. With that, she talks to her team, who agree to pool their days of life to buy the skill. The mage transfers the 100 days of life to him, and Shadow receives the sale notification. But suddenly, the archer Lizzie appears, shouting that she has finally found Shadow. Without wasting any time, she offers him 10 million in cold hard cash to help her reach level 3. The people around are absolutely shocked, as they didn't believe the reward was real and so incredibly high. Shadow recognizes her from his past life, a criminal notorious for enslaving players for profit. With a look of utter disgust, he scathingly calls her trash and brazenly rejects her offer before everyone. Lizzie, undeterred, insists, but he fiercely warns her that money is worthless here and orders her to step aside. Incensed by his response, she retorts, calling him trash, and vows that if they were in the real world, she'd teach him a brutal lesson. Shadow fixes the girl with a deadly glare, threatening that if she utters one more word, he'll kill her on the spot. A terrifying dark aura erupts from him, instantly paralyzing Lizzie and her group, utterly terrified by his immense power. Panicked, she screams at her team to flee, and they all bolt, fleeing Shadow in pure terror. He then sells his final item and closes up shop, announcing he's now off to confront the cursed. It's hinted that no one yet realizes this game will shatter the very order of the real world. As they know it, Shadow vanishes into the crowd, leaving everyone utterly bewildered and pondering what his class could possibly be. Meanwhile, far away, Lizzie and her companions frantically fled through an alley, utterly spent and gasping for breath. With an expression of pure venom, she rages that Shadow dared to threaten her and defiantly swears she'll kill him in the real world. Just then, a peculiar young man materializes, greeting her, leaving Lizzie surprised and instantly suspicious. He introduces himself as Mao Lijun and offers some insider tips for leveling up, if her generous offer is still valid. Lizzie, skeptical, demands to know what kind of tricks, and the young man states he'll only share his secrets as a token of his good faith. He then reveals his strategy to truly level up. You must pour all your points into agility to effortlessly outrun the monsters. She finally grasps the game's ingenious logic and readily accepts his help, ecstatic that someone who knows the game has shown up. Lizzie offers him a hefty 5 million, and the young man eagerly accepts, thinking Shadow was a moron for turning down such a fortune. Meanwhile, the scene cuts back to the forest. Sombra dashes swiftly through the dense forest, his dark aura guiding him. He finally corners the boss, but he quickly notices something concerning. The creature has already evolved to silver level, and it's still evolving. Sombra quickly calculates. It'll take about 8 hours for this thing to fully transform into a gold level monster. He immediately decides he's not waiting around for that. With a decisive move, he launches a stealth strike, dealing a massive 659 points of damage right to the boss. The monster roars in agony as continuous poison damage ticks, each for 219, relentlessly appear on its body. Sombra then unleashes another one of his skills, Latent Image, preparing for his next deadly move. Now, a silver boss has triple the health of a standard bronze one. As the creature continues to shriek in pain, The cursed beast starts to gather a sphere of dark energy, preparing a devastating counterattack. But Sombra quickly deduces he'll only need 2 or 3 more poison darts to finish it off. Just then, the boss unleashes several blinding energy beams, forcing our hero to quickly leap back and dodge. Sombra hides, thinking if that attack had connected, he'd be dead for sure, ignoring its wounds. The monster starts gathering even more terrifying energy for another devastating attack. Sombra's strategy: wait for his cooldowns to reset, then strike during the boss's moment of weakness. When the monster finally pauses for just a second, he spots the perfect opening. Now's the time, he shouts. With that, he unleashes another stealth strike, landing a critical hit right on the creature's head. The monster screams out in agonizing pain as the relentless poison continues to drain its life, bit by bit without ever stopping. Desperate, the boss suddenly turns and tries to flee, attempting to escape the fight to save itself. Sombra realizes the creature is almost dead now, just desperately trying to flee. He then sprints directly towards the monster, thinking it's much easier now that it has given up. With one final, decisive blow, he finally slays the boss, which collapses to the ground, lifeless. A reward screen immediately pops up, announcing he's leveled up not once, but twice, racking up a massive amount of evolution points. Without a moment to lose, Sombra unleashes Hand of Avarice on the boss's body to swiftly collect all the dropped items. Sombra is absolutely stunned, as the skill granted him double the rewards instantly. Suddenly, one of the items shimmers with a golden glow, randomly evolving from silver to an ultra-rare gold. He grumbles about his severely limited backpack space, desperately hoping for a storage ring drop. With that, he snatches the golden item from the ground, utterly curious and surprised about its true nature. The scene dramatically shifts to the bustling city, where the mage, Grey Rose, finally reappears, visibly relieved to be alive once more. Her party erupts in celebration, thanking Wang Ming for their hard-earned level 3. The mage instantly regrets not adding the big guy, hoping he'll notice her dazzling new outfit. But then, out of nowhere, the ranking board suddenly updates, revealing Sombra has already skyrocketed to level 5. Everyone in the square is utterly flabbergasted, wondering how he possibly leveled up twice so fast. Wang Ming's group is completely dumbfounded, realizing Sombra won't leave them a single chance to survive. He then urgently tries to calm his friends, telling them they must return to reality immediately and warn their families about what's coming. Wang Ming declares the world is on the verge of collapse, and with that chilling realization, they all decide to leave the game. The scene then cuts to the real world, where Wang Ming jolts awake in a hospital bed, feeling incredibly sick. His colleagues notice he's awake and desperately rush to inform the team captain. They surround him, their faces etched with deep concern, telling him he briefly became almost transparent. Wang Ming then shouts for everyone to be gathered, warning them that something incredibly serious has occurred. The scene shifts to a bustling police station, where they begin to intensely question one of the shaken survivors of the incident. He confirms that Shadow was the one who saved them, explaining he leveled up an unbelievable 2 times at once. The superior is utterly taken aback by this news, wondering how he accomplished such a feat so swiftly. Another officer, intrigued, finds it strange that Shadow still hasn't returned, questioning if he has any family. With a somber, knowing look, the officer simply replies that he doesn't know. Perhaps he truly has no one left. Just then, a female agent enters the conversation and boldly suggests he might be a time traveler. With a small smile, she playfully pushes her crazy theory, asking if she isn't precisely right about it. But her boss, clearly annoyed, tells her to stop reading novels and take this serious case seriously. He reveals the situation is absolutely dire, as elderly people are dying in real life after simply falling asleep. So, they quickly conclude that if a person's life in the game hits 0, they die for real. In an emergency meeting, orders are given to immediately create an army and explore the game. It's explained that the entire world is now on high alert. An officer in you is chosen as the formidable leader. She accepts the mission on the spot, and Wang Ming is appointed as her deputy team leader. With a serious expression, Wang Ming solemnly agrees to the order, ready for his challenging new role. The chief then reveals he's chosen you because she possesses the perfect personality to investigate Shadow. The chief ends the meeting, ordering them to uncover Shadow's identity at all costs. With their mission set, the team disperses as the sun dramatically sets over the city. The scene then shifts to a bustling school, showing the building in the quiet late afternoon. There, some girls are chatting, and one of them is deeply worried about her parents, who clearly don't know how to play. But Qin Xiaoyu gets annoyed, wondering why Qin Feng hasn't shown up to apologize yet. Yet, in a sudden flashback, she remembers he always used to gently calm her down. But this time, he even angrily hit her. She swears she'll never forgive him, unless he apologizes 1,000 times over. She then muses, it's a good thing she went to see Song Fei, as she might not have had another chance otherwise. The memory takes her back to the concert with Song Fei, shining brightly on stage like a true star. With his irresistible charm, he utterly captivated the entire audience, including Qin Xiaoyu herself. Back in the present, she cries out, saying just how desperately she misses him. But then, she suddenly freezes. A brilliant idea dawns on her, as if a light bulb just flickered to life. She suddenly realizes, if everyone enters the game when they sleep, then Song Fei must be in there too. Her face flushes with pure excitement. She can absolutely find him within the game. With newfound determination, she decides to seek out Zhang Wei for help. After all, he leveled up incredibly fast. Back in the classroom, she approaches and asks the great master, Zhang Wei, for some game tips. He gets cocky, seeing this as a heaven-sent chance to win the girl over. Over the phone, he shares the secret, dump all points into agility. To be lightning fast, she gets super excited about the tip, especially since he promised to help her level up. Later, lying in bed, she decides to enter the game, determined to leave her brother, Qin Feng, far behind. The scene cuts to a chilling, dark forest, where Shadow is meticulously analyzing his item drops. He picks up a golden ring, an absolutely incredible item. It's equivalent to 3 levels worth of stats. And on top of that, he also scored a brand new assassin skill, Instant Slush. Without a second thought, he learns the skill right away, seeing just how powerful it is. Using his evolution points, he first upgrades the Hand of Avarice to farm even more effectively. Now, killing 1 monster is like others killing 3. Talk about efficiency. He notices the cooldown time hasn't decreased, but then he realizes he can stay invisible forever. Looking at his other items, he finds a skill book that could fetch a good price. Suddenly, he senses a strange presence and goes on high alert, making a silencing gesture. From the treetops, terrifying red monsters descend upon him, instantly beginning their attack. He identifies the monsters as level 4 crawlers, the perfect chance to test his brand new skill. With a swift motion, he activates Instant Slash, slicing through the enemies with blades of pure energy. The attack is absolutely devastating. The monsters are utterly annihilated, all in a matter of seconds. The system then notifies him of his victory, awarding him 80 XP and 5 extra days of life. He reflects on his newfound efficiency, realizing he can now dispatch monsters much faster than before and accumulate more life. His ultimate plan is to reach level 10, so he can extract valuable items into reality. Meanwhile, deep within a dark, rainy forest, a mysterious figure watches something in the distance. It's Sombra. He congratulates a girl for reaching level 3, then calls her out on an old promise. A man from her group asks Sombra to calm down, even offering his number to negotiate and buy life days. The man takes the chance to mock Sombra, calling him an idiot for ignoring such a great businesswoman. With a cynical smile, he boasts that the truly smart ones are those who turn game life into real money. The scene changes, showing us the starting town. With its classic medieval village architecture, Sombra then approaches and manages to activate the village's teleportation portal. It's explained that he needs another active portal, and he remembers that in his past life, Song Fei activated one, but his focus now is to reach level 10, so he can go to the continent abandoned by the gods. That's where the real game begins, in a place with ancient ruins and much greater challenges. Back in town, the Shadow Master appears to sell items, causing an uproar in the square. A lucky player yells that he'll take the war cry. Skill book, and the transaction is completed. One man thinks the price is steep, but his friend explains that the item pays for itself. After just a few days of farming, the crowd goes wild, with everyone wanting to buy the magic clothes and shoes he's offering. He sold everything in just 1 minute, but still thinks it's not enough to extract the items into reality. In the middle of the surging crowd, a girl approaches and asks if the great master wants a treasure. She then presents him with a spatial ring, a rare item that grants 12 extra inventory slots. Sombra is completely floored. He never expected to see such an item so early in the game. He explains that the ring is incredibly valuable and asks how she plans to sell it to him. But the mage totally surprises everyone, saying she just wants to add him as a friend and take down a boss. Without a moment's hesitation, he accepts the friend request, and the system confirms their new connection. The protagonist then asks what kind of boss it is, and she reveals it's a gold level one. Hearing the creature was on an old boat, he immediately suspects it might be the Golden Ghost ship. It's explained that this is a special and super rare boss that drops incredibly good items. He starts connecting the dots, finding it too coincidental that she has the ring and found this boss. The image then shows us the legendary golden carp, the one they talked so much about in his past life. When asked, the mage says she was just wandering aimlessly and found the boss by pure chance. Sombra then remembers the rumors about a member of Wang Ming's team. With absurd luck, he finally confirms the legend was real, and she's the girl with the carp's luck. Playing it cool, he says it's nothing, and the two of them continue on together, watched by another player. A henchman informs his boss that Sombra just left the village with a girl. The leader then scoffs at the newbie, thinking he's fallen for her charms. He orders his men to follow him. As they walk, she proposes he keep the assassin drops, but makes a small, sweet request. She asks him to sell her team's items at a small discount. He agrees immediately and tells her, "We're going to face the gold level boss right now." The mage is completely panicked, unable to believe what she just heard from her partner. She tries to argue, but he reassures her. He tells her to stay put and enjoy the show. She finds it absolutely absurd, believing he's acting incredibly arrogant for suddenly charging in alone. Sombra vanishes in a puff of black smoke, leaving the girl utterly bewildered. She looks around desperately, yelling and demanding to know where her master went. Seeing this, the enemy boss cackles, thinking Sombra tricked and abandoned the girl. He then orders his henchmen to seize the girl, to have some fun with her. But to everyone's utter shock, Sombra reappears right before their eyes. Ready for combat, the gang leader barely has time to process what's happening when he sees the shadowy figure. With an instantaneous strike, the protagonist lunges at the enemy, giving them no chance to defend. The energy blade slices through the air, slicing through all the gang members at once. He finds it utterly pathetic, as it was easier than slaying tiny monsters, and he even gains 12 extra days of life. The mage finds him again, asking where he vanished off to, and he explains he simply sent some guys back. She starts getting some wild ideas, but he quickly cuts her off, telling her to take him to the boss immediately. The scene shifts back to the village, with its classic medieval-style buildings. Just then, Qin Xiaoyu finally logs into the game, appearing in the middle of the city within a magic circle. She's amazed by the incredible sensation, feeling how incredibly real everything is as she touches her staff. Then she discovers she's unlocked a secret class, Priestess of Life, which makes her feel incredibly confident. But she gets annoyed thinking about Qin Feng, deciding she can totally manage on her own now without him. Looking at the leaderboard, she's shocked to see that the #1 player, Shadow, is already level 6. She realizes he's the real expert, and that she'd level up much faster by his side. Meanwhile, another group of players seems frustrated because they can't contact one of their members. Their leader, Wang Ming, says they desperately need a healer, since they aren't as strong as Shadow. Suddenly, a voice rings out from behind them, instantly grabbing the entire group's attention. It was Qin Xiaoyu offering herself for the spot and revealing her secret support class. The scene now shifts back to Shadow and his partner as they arrive at the edge of a towering cliff. Down below, they finally spot their objective, the legendary gold-grade ghost ship. He tells her to hide and be careful, declaring he'll handle the boss alone. With a daring leap of faith, he dives off the cliff, heading straight for the ghost ship. The system warns that the area rapidly drains life. 100 times faster, a grave danger for anyone. It's revealed that the ghost ship is a special, level 5 gold grade boss. A time limit appears. He has 45 minutes, thinking that's more than enough time to win. Without wasting a moment, he rushes forward with instant slash, aiming directly at the ship's skeleton. The attack lands a direct hit, dealing a massive 549 damage per strike. Next, he uses a poison dart, a silent attack designed to catch the enemy by surprise. The dart hits the bell on the ship's prow, which is the boss's true weak spot. It's explained that many players don't know this and waste precious time attacking the skeleton or hull. But when hit there, the skeleton becomes furious, its eyes glowing as it controls the surrounding water. With that, it launches a gigantic area of effect attack, with powerful jets of water shooting up from the swamp. The resulting damage is so absurd that only a warrior in a full silver set could withstand the blow. Luckily, Shadow's base agility is so high that he expertly dodges the water jets. As if that wasn't enough, the boss also summons 12 rotten water ghosts to help in the fight. These monsters attack players chaotically, and the ship summons more of them every 3 minutes. But since he's always invisible, the monsters can't see him, so he just needs to find the perfect angle. And from the best angle, he uses instant slash to eliminate all the monsters at once. From a distance, the mage just watches. Poison darts repeatedly strike the boss's weak spot. Again and again, she's absolutely stunned by his incredible power. Since the boss has already lost a third of its health. Without even fighting back, suddenly, he tells his partner, Xiaohei, that he's about to die any second now. He calms her, telling her not to do anything rash, and just to wait for the perfect moment to revive him. But she gets annoyed by the nickname, complaining that her name sounds like a dog's. Meanwhile, the gang leader feels utterly humiliated, remembering how he once was a mighty leader. His henchmen find him and report that the girl is there. While Shadow fights on alone, the boss's fourth and most complicated ability then activates, completely changing the fight. Shadow braces himself, knowing this is the absolute hardest part of the battle. With the ship at half health, the boss unleashes a devastating soul wave that spreads across the entire area. The attack hits him dead on, immobilizing him for a grueling 5 seconds. With no chance to dodge, seeing this, the mage becomes desperate, unable to do anything to help her partner. Trapped in place, he's hit by a massive attack, coming straight from the swamp itself, dealing over 1,000 damage. He can't possibly survive this, and the system announces his elimination. Upon dying, he loses 326 years of life and another 1,000 negotiable days. From above, the gang leader laughs, pleased that the expert utterly failed against the boss. Seeing his chance, he orders his men to attack the boss, to snatch up the dropped items for life. But suddenly, a holy light appears in the sky, leaving the gang completely confused about what's happening. The scene returns to the city, where the gang of players responds. After being defeated, they are absolutely furious, unable to believe they were wiped out so easily by a pillar of water. Meanwhile, Shadow reappears in the swamp, surrounded by several glowing orbs of life on the ground. His partner explains that a noisy group was annihilated by the boss's area of effect attack. With a small smile, he realizes they've totally underestimated this ship's power, just like he did in the past. It's explained that the boss only uses its immobilization trick once, but it also has a teleportation move. But Shadow doesn't waste a single second, preparing another poison dart to strike its weak spot. The dart hits the bell squarely, and the poison quickly starts draining the boss's health. Little by little, the ship then begins to teleport, desperately trying to escape, but the protagonist remains unfazed. With a focused gaze, he reveals that he's already predicted all of the enemy's movement patterns. With that, he unleashes instant Shadow Slash, an enhanced version of his technique. From above, the gang returns, and their leader tells everyone to prepare to attack. The two of them together. The mage gets thoroughly annoyed with these idiots, deciding she won't let them interfere with her fight. She then focuses her energy and begins to cast a very powerful lightning spell. With a divine spell, she electrocutes the entire gang, who don't even have a chance to react. One of the henchmen screams in fury, and the gang leader quickly identifies the mage as the culprit. Furious, he yells that she's asking for a death wish, and orders his men to eliminate her. Now, desperate, the mage starts running and screaming for help, as the gang relentlessly pursues her from a distance. Another group of players just watches the chase, hidden among the trees. The scene cuts to Shadow, who returns to the main battle, moving with his shadow abilities. He notices the boss is almost dead, but reflects that the fight was much harder than it seemed. He also sees that two groups are watching, just waiting for the right moment to steal his loot. The skeleton lets out one last cry of agony, as it's finally defeated by the poison. Using shadow stealth, he deals the final blow, and the system announces his great victory. The scene briefly cuts to a distant landscape of mountains, with a quaint village in the city. The announcement leaves everyone utterly stunned. They're all left wondering, just who is this powerful shadow? Qin Xiao Yao's determination burns bright, realizing he's the strongest of them all. He could totally help her level up. Deep in the swamp, a massive haul of loot shines brightly, the hard-earned reward for their grueling battle. But another group spots the glittering loot and plots to use a skill to pinpoint Shadow's location and brazenly steal everything he's acquired. An archer then readies himself, bow in hand, knocking a magic arrow with intent, aiming to expose the hero's hidden position. The archer then unleashes Phantom Eagle, an energy arrow designed to unmask invisible foes. The ability detonates, exploding over a huge area, scattering countless shimmering light feathers throughout the murky swamp. But Shadow coolly explains the skill is utterly useless because his assassin class grants him unparalleled stealth. The henchman reports in a panic. He just vanished, and the leader confidently deduces he must have fled. Terrified of facing their formidable group, they then decide to fiercely guard the loot, waiting for the 5-minute ownership timer to finally expire. But suddenly, Shadow materializes from the inky darkness, launching a swift attack on the entire group at once. With blinding speed, he slices through all his enemies, leaving them no time to even react. With the area finally falling silent, he can peacefully collect his hard-won loot. But then a thought strikes him, his partner. Before gathering anything, he uses his hard-earned points to upgrade Greedy Hand, transforming the skill into an epic tier ability. Seeing the glorious 100% chance, he decides to gather all the light and snatch every single item. Then, with an excited shout, he prepares to unleash his ability and claim his reward. An intense, brilliant light shoots into the sky as the system loudly announces, Greedy Hand has been successfully activated. He receives a deluge of points, bonus days of life, and even 2 coveted Phantom Fire Bells as his reward. But just as he's admiring his incredible new items, he suddenly hears Xiao Hei screaming for help, her voice sounding utterly desperate, like she's in grave trouble. He desperately calls for his partner, but only her screams answer, warning him in terror not to get any closer. The mage is then cornered by a menacing gang, who taunt her, declaring there's nowhere left to run. Weak and utterly exhausted, she leans on her staff, all hope seemingly lost. But with a final surge of courage, she turns and confronts the ominous cliff face, leaving her pursuers utterly bewildered. Without a moment's hesitation, she hurls herself off the edge, choosing death rather than capture at their hands. The fall is brutal, and she perishes upon impact, a desperate sacrifice to escape the dire situation. The gang leader is absolutely stunned, muttering that this girl was truly determined to go that far. Meanwhile, back in the forest, she sends a chat message confirming her revival, and Shadow promises to retrieve the items solo. He lets out a relieved sigh and ponders upgrading his Greedy Hand skill with his accumulated points, but the cost is astronomical. So he wisely decides to prioritize his attack skills instead. With a decisive move, he upgrades Instant Shadow Cut to Platinum, significantly boosting his dagger's damage. He's immensely satisfied as his damage output has doubled, now hitting an incredible 7,000 with a stealth attack. Carefully analyzing the recent loot, he notes Greedy Hand netted him 11 gold coins, along with 2 rare platinum items. Among them is a gleaming platinum dagger, boasting an effect that makes normal attacks strike twice. He finds this effect incredibly useful, especially considering the weapon's base stats, as its attack and agility bonuses are exceptionally high. He then dons the new leather armor, which immediately boosts his health points, making him significantly more resilient in battle. To remain inconspicuous, he cleverly conceals the armor and picks up the final item, a skill book for dodge. He instantly recognizes the skill, but recalls everyone else deems it utterly useless. But he's different. He can upgrade skills infinitely, so he learns it right then and there. He plans to offload the remaining items to Wang Mong, silently thanking his partner for her absurdly good luck. On his return journey, he predictably runs into that same gang again, and they can barely believe their eyes. The boss and his lackeys are utterly aghast, unable to comprehend that it's truly him. They quickly panic and attempt to flee, screaming in terror as they sense Shadow's menacing aura. But he's not letting them escape so easily. He charges in, unleashing a lightning-fast strike, crashing directly into the gang leader. The boss collapses, utterly defenseless, and Shadow simply observes him, silent. The defeated man grovels, pleading for his life, but Shadow retorts, asking if he considered that earlier. Without a moment's hesitation, he dispatches him. The system declares his new title, Assassin. A menacing red aura engulfs him. Yet he remains unfazed, protected from death by his new item. Afterward, he makes his way back to the city, and his chilling aura instantly grabs everyone's notice. The players are utterly shocked, recognizing Shadow. He's returned after conquering a gold-tier boss. One of his former attackers tentatively approaches, finding it odd that he's still not wearing any gear. He attempts to offer an apology, presenting an assassin's skill book as a peace offering. Shadow coolly inspects the book, realizing it's a common stun skill, controllability. Unimpressed by its mediocre power, he simply takes the item and continues on his path, leaving the stun group in his wake. But they seethe with rage and humiliation, plot to team up and finish him off. Their leader unveils his sinister plan to uncover Shadow's real-world identity and then kidnap him. One suggests using a beautiful woman to lure him into a deadly trap. The scene shifts as he encounters the mage, who, once again, despises the nickname he gave her. She's utterly impressed with the new items, feeling her firepower more than double instantaneously. He then reminds her of their agreement, and she hands over the spatial ring, just as they agreed. The mage reveals she's discovered a secret cave that appears to be the entrance to an ancient ruin. He's pleasantly surprised, thinking how convenient it is to be her friend. Because of her luck, and now, with increased inventory space, he asks about Wang Mong, only to learn he's still training. She marks the eerie location on his map, explaining that she fled from there in terror. After hearing horrifying, blood-curdling screams, he resolves to head to the ruins immediately, vanishing in a sudden puff of smoke, leaving the mage to talk to herself. With another swift, decisive move, our protagonist melts into the shadows, heading straight for his next destination. He explains he needed a perfect spot to power up, and that this city actually holds 3 types of ruins. For him, though, the monsters there are practically a sea of health points and pure evolution. He finally uncovers the ruins' entrance, tucked away deep within the forest. Descending the winding stairs, he reiterates that there are indeed 3 ruin types. Beginner-friendly ones found in cities, cursed ruins with monsters that were once human, and temples, which are far more complex. Spotting the intricate murals on the wall, he quickly realizes this location is a temple of faith. He finds the ancient drawings eerily familiar, and then it hits him. It's the temple of the ancient god of judgment. As he presses forward, he suddenly hears screams, and a chilling sensation washes over him, that this place shares the same mysterious origin as his own power. The scene then shifts to the dense forest, where Wang Mong's group is undergoing heavy training. The warrior stands firm on the front line, bravely defending against the monster's brutal blows with a shield. A hulking red monster charges straight ahead, but Wang Mong expertly manages to block the direct attack. However, another team member simply can't withstand the beast's immense strength and is violently thrown far away, seeing his friend sprawled on the ground. One of them desperately screams for Qin Xiaoyu to heal, but she's utterly terrified, completely unsure how to properly use her new priestess healing abilities. The monster then menacingly turns to attack another member, who frantically shouts at her to use the skill. Already consumed by panic, she cowers in fear and impulsively throws her staff away, not knowing what else to do. In the end, the entire group is tragically wiped out, reappearing as ghostly forms back in the city. The mage spots the team back in the city, wondering why they returned from training so early. One of the guys is absolutely furious, yelling directly at Shin Xiaoyu for being utterly useless in battle. The other mage attempts to defend her, try to explain that it's perfectly normal to die your first time in the game. But then, another member shockingly reveals that the team died not once, but 3 times, all in under an hour, thanks to her. With a confident smile, she offers her assistance. She assures them she's much stronger now, equipped with her new gear. The group's leader, Wang Ming, reluctantly accepts her help, hoping to find Shadow later. In her thoughts, Chun Xiaoyu apologizes, but can't help feeling annoyed by this team of losers. Meanwhile, the scene shifts to Shadow, who finally reaches the destroyed entrance of an ancient temple. From deep inside this dark place, he starts to hear strange and terrifying wails. There, he discovers 2 devout followers of the ancient god, both level 10 silver tier monsters. Unfazed, he calmly observes the scene, then prepares to launch a stealth attack. Utilizing his instant shadow cut, he rushes toward the 2 monsters at full speed. But his attack barely has any effect, and he notices their health is far higher than expected. He then notices something strange. The monsters seem to be looking directly in his direction. He quickly realizes they sensed his eye of judgment, which is why they haven't attacked him yet. He attempts to communicate, asking the monsters to guide him through the sacred temple's path. But he quickly realizes they're corrupted, transformed into mindless beasts that only know how to steal life from humans. The followers then rise, screaming, ready to attack whoever dared invade their sanctuary. With a strange green energy, they attack a new threat that has just arrived. Suddenly, another group of players appears at the entrance, coming face to face with the immediate danger. They panic when they spot the 2 silver tier bosses. They frantically tell everyone to run. A masked mage in their group, however, seems to be preparing, surrounded by an intense aura of power. Shadow instantly recognizes the team, remembering he previously sold an item to them from the Grey Rose Guild. He then collects the loot from the guys he killed, seeing they dropped over 100 days of life. After looking around, he notices there are no traps or hidden treasures, just the 2 mini-bosses, with nothing left to wait for. He decides to end this quickly. He charges at the monsters, delivering a fatal blow. He eliminates both, gaining a significant amount of XP and even more tradable life days. For the best possible outcome, he uses his epic greedy hand skill to snatch up all the rewards. He's absolutely floored by the haul, raking in evolution points, gold, and a ton of silver items. And amidst all that glorious loot, he even stumbles upon a rare piece of gold tier equipment. It's a special pendant crafted just for assassins. He's ecstatic about this new necklace, since it makes his stealth and attacks significantly faster. Suddenly, the ground beneath him trembles violently, and he quickly realizes something truly bizarre is unfolding in the room. Then, a massive stone pillar begins to ascend from the floor, right in the very center of the magic circle. He immediately grasps the situation, realizing that by eliminating those monsters, a whole new mechanism has been activated. Shadow then spots a hidden mechanism tucked away in the wall. He walks over and pulls the lever, which creaks loudly as the circular platform on the floor starts to shake and slowly descend. He quickly understands it's actually an elevator, and down it goes deeper and deeper. The sliver of light from above dwindles, getting smaller and smaller, until it vanishes completely. The platform finally comes to a halt. After a staggering 400-meter plunge, he then scopes out his surroundings, trying to figure out exactly what kind of place he's stumbled into. And what he finds is a gigantic labyrinth, secretly hidden beneath the temple. We're told this entire area is absolutely riddled with traps. But luckily, he has just the item for this exploration, that special pendant from earlier. With its power, he summons a silver-rank follower to fight alongside him. He commands his minion to venture forth, acting as a brave scout to uncover any hidden dangers. Having a servant leading the way definitely makes things easier, but he decides to play it extra safe anyway. So, he uses his hard-earned points to upgrade his evasion skill, which now boasts an incredible 75%. It's revealed that upgrading high-rank skills costs significantly fewer evolution points than before. He concludes that from this point forward, all his skills will be at least epic rank. With his remaining points, he gives his stealth skill another boost, but he still feels its cooldown is way too long. His minion diligently continues scouting the path until it steps directly onto a pressure plate. Suddenly, a massive boulder plummets from the ceiling, crushing his poor servant in an instant. Shadow wisely decides to wait for the cooldown, as the labyrinth is far too dangerous to navigate alone. The scene then takes us back to the temple's upper floor, which appears empty, but in reality, another group of adventurers was already there. From a nearby room, they're utterly shocked when their scout confirms the unthinkable, that the two monsters are truly gone. The group wonders aloud, who could have possibly slain two silver rank bosses so quickly? The group's mage remembers seeing Shadow and becomes terrified of his absurd, overwhelming power. Back in the treacherous labyrinth, we see the minion has been caught in yet another spike trap. After 3 grueling hours, he finally reaches what appears to be the labyrinth's end. With his cooldown finally finished, he manages to summon his loyal servant once more. He then sends the summoned creature ahead to test the safety of a perilous stone bridge. Upon finding a colossal door, he orders the minion to force it open. Even though it hesitates, Shadow finds it quite strange that his minion can't open the massive door. He decides to try it himself instead, and places his hand on the door's ancient surface. At his touch, the door reacts, slowly beginning to open. With an intense, ethereal blue glow, a powerful gust of wind bursts from within, throwing the servant back with incredible force. Our protagonist is momentarily surprised by this, but firmly holds his ground. The gate reveals an absolutely incredible place, with a vast starry sky and a mysterious chest covered in thorns. Next to the chest, he finds a truly mysterious NPC, who appears to be guarding the precious treasure. He tries to view the character's information, but all that appears are enigmatic question marks. Shadow is utterly intrigued, as he's never encountered such an enigmatic NPC before. The NPC then begins to speak, but in a strange, ancient language he can't understand. Suddenly, the mysterious woman starts to glow, with a powerful golden light that completely engulfs her. In the blink of an eye, she vanishes without a trace, and the thorns holding the chest vanish along with her. Now the chest is free and shining brightly, and ready for him to open it up. Shadow muses to himself, that woman has to be connected to the Eye of Judgment. He approaches the chest, knowing it holds some epic treasures, but he's worried it might just be a trap. To completely avoid any danger, he orders his minion to open the chest first, even though the creature is scared out of its wits. The servant obeys, and as it opens the chest, a powerful golden light shines brightly from within. He sees he's gotten a skill book, a divine skill specifically for assassins, with both active and passive effects. The screen displays the skill's full details. It's called Mercy's Gift, which drastically increases damage to weak points. Shadow is quite impressed by the passive effect, but then he thinks the active ability is even more broken. He calculates that the skill's total damage could be up to 3 times higher than normal. With this, his attack power just skyrockets, and he's excited to upgrade the skill to legendary. Satisfied, he tells Wang Ming to head back to the city, as he has items he needs to sell. The scene changes, and he's now back in the city, in what looks like a central plaza. But as soon as he arrives, he immediately notices the city's atmosphere is totally different from usual. A crowd of players surrounds him, shouting his name and asking to be his friend. The crowd is so desperate that one guy even offers his own wife in exchange for help. He understands that the teleportation portals have opened, and he can now travel to Song Fei's city. With no patience for the crowd, he simply uses a skill and vanishes into thin air. the players get angry and start fighting among themselves, blaming each other for scaring Shadow away from the chaos. He finds the mage from the other group, who calls him Little Black. She then informs her captain that the expert, Shadow, has finally shown up. Our protagonist looks at them, a clear expression of curiosity on his face. He is surprised to see that Qin Xiao, our protagonist, was there with Wang Mong's group. He wonders how she even got on the team, fearing she could single-handedly destroy the entire party. He quickly reminds himself to be extremely cautious, as his true identity as Shadow absolutely cannot be exposed. Meanwhile, Qin Xiaoyu is convinced he's her key to reuniting with Song Fei very soon. Shadow then presents an array of items to the team, but Wang Mong admits the price is simply too steep for them. A grateful Wang Mong promises that his group will absolutely return the favor in the future, if needed. The team erupts in cheers for their new items, ecstatic that Shadow trusted them enough to pay later. But suddenly, one of them notices something odd, that nothing at all was given to the priestess, effectively leaving Qin Xiaoyu completely out. She eagerly approaches him to inquire about the items, and, at the very same time, sends him a friend request. The girl's face immediately flushes a bright red, as she nervously awaits a positive response from our protagonist. But Shadow is engulfed in an ominous dark aura, clearly preparing to vanish in an instant. He simply disappears right before their very eyes, leaving everyone utterly shocked and bewildered. The entire group is left completely confused, while Qin Xiaoyu is visibly crestfallen. Far away, Shadow then reveals that he did, in fact, have gold tier items, specifically for priests, but he questions why he would ever give such rare and valuable treasures to Qin Xiaoyu. He realizes he needs a reliable way to sell his items, but absolutely cannot let Qin Xiaoyu impede his plans. Then, a sudden memory of someone from his past strikes him, and he instantly decides he needs to find Little Joie. We're told she was a priestess of a hidden, unique class, far stronger than Qin Xiaoyu. He then recalls that the girl is also from Firefly City, which is absolutely perfect for him. With a plan in mind, he decides to go there to recruit Shuai for Wang Mong's team. Without wasting a single moment, he activates his teleport and departs for the new city. Immediately, the scene shifts, and he arrives in bustling Firefly City, taking in the sights of the place for the very first time. But suddenly, he hears a commotion of shouting, with two guys loudly arguing about Song Fei, and it's a silver rank boss. He's completely surprised, especially after just finding a clue about his target. Without further ado, we cut to a massive canyon, a desolate, desert-like place known as the Wailing Valley. This is a dangerous level 5 area, filled with fiery monsters and other deadly creatures. Hiding in the shadows, he watches a chaotic battle, where players are screaming frantically at each other. In a desperate frenzy, a giant fire demon attacks, forcing a lone warrior to defend himself desperately. He immediately notices the situation is utterly chaotic, with several players actually attacking each other right in the middle of the fight. Then, he spots a rather large group of players, all seemingly following the same leader. And right in the middle of them all was his target, the arrogant and cocky Song Fei. A furious warrior charges forward, furiously yelling that he's going to finish Song Fei before robbing him. But one of Song Fei's fans attacks first, hitting the guy to protect her beloved Appa. Shadow watches it all, remembering that Song Fei tricked his fans into becoming mages just for him. We're told the girls quickly adapted, becoming human shields and even brawler mages. In the beginning, his team utterly dominated, but over time, almost all of his fans died. Song Fei pretends to care, saying his heart aches to see his sisters fighting. But a devoted fan says he's the one suffering the most, and yells for everyone to attack the monster. The boss is struck by a bolt of lightning, as the girls promise to follow their Appa forever. The creature then roars in pain and retaliates, launching a scorching fireball at him. The attack hits Song Fei head-on, sending him flying back from the brutal impact. One of his fans quickly heals him, saying they'll always be crazy about him. Another girl yells that they need to kill the boss, so he can surpass this shadow guy. They unite their powers and cast a spell, swearing they will always be by Brother Faye's side. The combined spell slams into the monster, causing an explosion of pure elemental damage. Song Fei, of course, complains that Shadow must be using some kind of bug, since he's only level 7 himself. He smiles, confident he'll surpass Shadow and finally become the game's #1 player. But suddenly, his eyes snap wide open as a terrifying presence materializes right before him. It's Shadow, bursting forth from nowhere and charging at him with unbelievable speed. In the blink of an eye, he unleashes his skill, the devastating instant Shadow Slash. The blow lands squarely on Song Fei's face, leaving his fans absolutely distraught at the sight. The dark attack slices through everything, hitting not only him, but all of his loyal fans too. The kill feed instantly scrolls up, confirming he's annihilated the entire team, and even the area boss. The other players are left speechless, as his skill dealt 10 times more damage. They finally realize it's Shadow, and wisely decide to let the expert take all the loot. The crowd showers him with praise for clearing the map, but he knows they're simply terrified. The scene then cuts to the respawn point, where Song Fei returns to life. Completely disoriented, he's in shock to see he died, and lost over 1,000 days of his precious lifespan. His loyal fans are equally bewildered, accusing Shadow of a despicable, cowardly attack. We're taken back to a flashback, where an archer eagerly asks to join Song Fei's group, but his mages immediately step in to block her, claiming her damage output would only hinder them. But then Song Fei himself appears, delivering a passionate speech. Declaring he believes love conquers all, he accepts the girl, stating he can feel her burning passion, and that they will all grow strong together. The archer breaks down in tears of pure happiness, and proclaims her undying love for Brother Fei. And with that, other girls eagerly volunteer to become assassins and mages. To help the team, Song Fei then opens his arms wide, declaring his family of love is now united forever. His fans weep openly, overcome with emotion, shouting that they have absolutely no regrets. For following Brother Song Fei, they join in a fervent chorus of revenge, promising they'll make Shadow pay dearly for this transgression. Meanwhile, other players begin commenting on the commotion, and one reveals that Song Fei was just killed. The other guy is utterly shocked, but the answer is simple. The killer was Shadow. In his mind, Song Fei boasts that he'll show the entire world that a weak assassin is absolutely nothing. Back in the present, Shadow, with his greedy hand, snatches up all the loot in one go. Using the points he just earned, he evolves his gift of mercy skill to the legendary tier. Now, enemy weak points are double the size, dramatically boosting his damage output. But he quickly realizes that upgrading a skill from legendary to mythic is absurdly expensive without more points. So to compensate, he decides to upgrade his backstab ability to platinum. With everything settled and over 1,000 days of life gained, he decides it's finally time to go. But suddenly, one of Song Fei's fans leaps onto his back, screaming for him to die as she tries to attack. She tries to drive her dagger into him with all her might, but the blow simply phases right through him, as his passive evasion completely nullifies the attack. The assassin is in total shock, unable to believe how her attack could have possibly failed. Realizing she missed, the girl uses her stealth to try and escape, kicking up a cloud of dust. But Shadow quickly notices. The other fans have already completely surrounded him, shouting that he's cornered. They then prepare to attack, swearing they'll avenge the death of Brother Song Fei. Filled with hatred, the girls get ready to strike, yelling they'll avenge Brother Fei. But Shadow doesn't even care about them, and simply activates his stealth to vanish. However, the group's archer warns him it's useless, as she can detect his position. The girl then uses a special skill, causing several feathers of light to rain down from the sky. The feathers end up revealing the other assassin, whom the fans immediately mistake for Shadow. The group's leader yells for everyone to attack, not even realizing their huge mistake. The poor girl tries to shout that it's her, but it's far too late for any warning. A shower of magic attacks pummels their own ally. Cousin, a massive explosion. One of the fans declares it was divine punishment, and tells the archer to use the skill again. But Shadow takes advantage of the confusion and uses a bell that paralyzes everyone for 3 agonizing seconds. The girls are instantly frozen solid, unable to move a muscle before they could even react. A Shadow then lunges towards the first unsuspecting victim. He activates Shadow / once more, slicing through all the girls in a single, swift motion. And in the blink of an eye, he utterly obliterates the entire fan club, giving them absolutely no chance to defend themselves. And hiding, Song Fei is utterly shocked, completely baffled by how they died so incredibly fast. Shadow then whispers directly into Song Fei's ear, ominously telling him he was already dead. In pure desperation, he tries to protect himself, hastily activating a magic shield. But Shadow's attack is incredibly powerful. It shatters his barrier into 1,000 glistening pieces. With that, Song Fei crashes to the ground, utterly defeated, with no chance left to fight back. As he collects the loot, he realizes the guy had over 2,000 days of life for him to steal. But he notices the fans had nothing, as they'd given all their lifespan to Song Fei. He thinks it's such a waste, since all that life will now just feed the monsters. Back in the city, Song Fei is absolutely furious to see he only has 500 days of life left. The archer then explains that her skill only detected the other assassin, not Shadow. Someone points out that Shadow's stealth must be a much higher level than their detection. He then completely deludes himself, thinking Shadow only attacks him out of pure envy for his incredible beauty. To ensure everyone's safety, he decides to move to a different spot to level up with his loyal fans. Sometime later, Shadow returns to the city, but can't find anyone from a group. He finds their disappearance incredibly strange and wonders if they simply logged out of the game. Then, he appears out of nowhere behind a random guy, asking where Song Fei went. The guy points to where Song Fei went and asks Shadow to spare his girlfriend in the process. But Shadow vanishes into thin air, leaving the player lamenting how incredibly hard it was to get the girl. He knows that searching blindly is a complete waste of time. He figures everything would be a breeze if he could just find Guishue. And as if fate itself was lending a hand, he turns around and, lo and behold, he's face to face with the very girl he sought. There she was, Guishue, the elusive hidden class priestess. Her small, trusty owl perched on her arm. He steps up and immediately asks for her help, and the girl instantly recognizes him as Shadow. He proposes a lucrative deal, a magnificent golden staff, if she can pinpoint Song Fei's exact location. The girl is taken aback, utterly baffled by how he knew about her secret tracking skill, but she accepts the deal on the spot, knowing she could never afford such a gold item otherwise. With the staff now gleaming in her hands, she's practically drooling, utterly overjoyed with her dazzling new golden weapon. Seeing the girl so completely distracted, Shadow quickly loses his patience and flicks her on the forehead. He sharply tells her to stop messing around, leaving the priestess a little embarrassed. She finds his whole vibe surprisingly familiar and asks if he isn't afraid she'll just run off with the item. He surprises her right back by asking how she knew he hated Song Fei so much, leaving her utterly confused and unwilling to answer. She simply sends her owl flying to begin the search for their target. Guishue is intrigued by Shadow's mysterious demeanor, but decides to focus on her mission. Her owl then transforms into a magnificent eagle of light, soaring high over the city in search of clues. The eagle returns, reporting that it's located Song Fei, and gives him the exact coordinates. He then asks her to keep a close eye on the target, assuring her he won't be long. With the crucial information in hand, our protagonist sprints full speed toward his enemy. But along the way, something strange catches his eye, and he abruptly halts. Guishue, who's still accompanying him, asks why he stopped, completely bewildered. He ignores her question and tells her to search for other trees nearby, just like the one he's looking at, using her eagle vision. She reports back, 2 more trees, 100 meters away. He then approaches and touches the symbol on the tree, which mysteriously begins to glow brightly. He challenges her to guess what he's about to unleash. As all 3 symbols activate, a brilliant triangle of light materializes, and a colossal energy pillar rockets skyward. Then, right at its dazzling core, A coveted jade rank treasure chest erupts from the earth. Sombra is absolutely stunned by his incredible luck. He's unearthed an ancient god's blessing. It turns out activating these symbols can either summon terrifying monsters or bestow incredible rewards. The girl absolutely freaks out over the chest's immense value, which could be worth an absolute fortune. Witnessing this, however, the priestess quickly decides to memorize the symbols to hunt for more treasures. Upon opening the jade chest, he immediately gains a skill book, Flourishing Curse. He learns this grim skill, which can drain the entire lifespan from a recently slain body. Armed with his terrifying new ability, he vows that Song Fei's days are now officially numbered. Even in the real world, the scene then shifts to Song Fei's group, who are now confronting a monstrous fire and lightning wolf. The arrogant noble feels utterly safe, convinced Sombra won't pursue him any longer. After all that's transpired, with a smug, confident smile, he schemes to settle the score with Sombra once he finally levels up. However, one of his devoted fans spots another group nearby, who are also hunting a boss monster. Song Fei is absolutely stunned, recognizing them as followers of someone called New Jackie. His loyal followers immediately erupt in fury and decide to eliminate these pests to protect their precious ranking. The other team, seeing them approach, mistakenly believes they're reinforcements, hoping to defeat the monster together. But then, one of Song Fei's fans lands a brutal, direct hit right to Guy's face. Without a shred of mercy, she smashes the player's head with her staff, finishing him off instantly. The fallen man's partner becomes utterly desperate, screaming and demanding to know what she's doing. With a chilling, dark look, the fan snarls, "This is the fate of all who dare follow New Jackie." The other girl immediately yells back. She doesn't even recognize who that is, but she's hit by a devastating attack and instantly eliminated. Her friend cries out in utter despair, screaming her name as he watches her body collapse to the ground. Song Fei's fans then start chanting loudly that they'll conquer the heavens right beside him. They continue their fierce war cry as the monster is mercilessly attacked. In the background, in their brother's name, the girls unleash a massive attack that devastates everyone. Song Fei thanks his family, playing the victim for almost falling into an ambush. Crying with deep emotion, they shout that they'll follow their beloved Fei wherever he goes. From a distance, Sombra watches a purple flower sprout from the ground, a very strange sign surrounded by a dark aura. His eyes glowing ominously, he prepares to strike using his ability. The protagonist vanishes in the blink of an eye. He reappears right in front of Song Fei, telling him he's already dead with no way out. With a single dark slash, the noble's head flies off, shocking everyone around him. The followers descend into total panic, screaming their brother's name in pure desperation. Sombra then appears behind one of the fans, who doesn't even notice his presence. With the body now on the ground, he activates his terrifying new ability, the Flourishing Curse. From a fallen body, a gigantic red flower blooms horrifically. The group panics, not understanding what that bizarre approaching thing is. In a game city, Song Fei revives, startled and completely confused about what's happening. He panics, questioning why Sombra is so obsessed with hunting him. On his knees, he realizes his lifespan is continuously decreasing. Song Fei is shocked to see he has less than 400 days left, wondering what this penalty is. The scene widens to show his allies also reviving around him. One of his followers shouts in desperation, warning that Sombra used a strange skill. Song Fei realizes the flower on his body is draining his life force and curses Sombra. He then orders everyone to log out to avoid losing even more lifespan. Before logging out, he vows this isn't over and that he will crush Sombra with his money. The scene shifts, and we find Sombra standing amidst the bodies of the players he defeated. The system notifies him that he has become a slayer, but all he can think about are the 1,000 days he just farmed. Just then, an owl with a golden aura flies overhead. Watching from above, the owl belongs to a girl, who remarks on how terrifying Sombra's power is. Sombra then asks her if Song Fei really logged out, and she confirms. As she's about to leave, he calls out to her, offering a powerful skill to keep her around. The girl immediately accepts the offer, and Sombra asks her to wait for him in the city. The scene then takes us to one of the game's main cities, with its medieval architecture. There, Sombra offers a rare skill book to Lizzie, on the condition that she accepts a request. He gets flustered by her reaction, and explains that he just wants her to be a healer for a team. Lizzie accepts the proposal, but warns she'll complain if the team is too weak. He reassures her, saying they're decent, and that he'll contact them right away. The scene cuts to a rainy forest, where a monster is brutally crushed. We see Wang Meng celebrating, having finally defeated the creature. But he's poisoned, and asks Qin Xiaoyu to use her purification ability. She remembers she has the skill, and, with a focused look, prepares to cast it. Qin Xiaoyu casts the purification spell toward her injured companion, but the spell misses its target, and she apologizes, completely embarrassed by the situation. Wang Meng succumbs to the poison and collapses, to his friend's despair. Back in the city, Wang Meng's group discusses what to do, while Qin Xiaoyu isolates herself. One of the team members laments that they urgently need a new healer. Meanwhile, Qin Xiaoyu gazes at her screen. She thinks the game is super easy to level up in. Suddenly, Wang Meng gets a message from Sombra. Sombra offers a new healer, and he accepts immediately. Sombra says she's currently in Ember Town. It's an excellent spot for leveling up, apparently. Just then, Wang Meng turns to Qin Xiaoyu. He has a very serious expression on his face. He then informs her that the team is heading to a much more difficult area, and she absolutely cannot come along. Before she can even protest, the group quickly runs off, leaving her completely behind. Furious, she curses out the entire team. She decides to find Sombra and have him carry her instead. The scene then shifts. And we see Wang Meng meeting up with Sombra and Lizzie. They're right in the middle of the city. He hands over the payment. He mentions a certain captain in, which immediately piques Sombra's curiosity. Just at that moment, a girl in full armor comes running, waving excitedly at the group. Her nameplate reveals her in-game name, Execution of Justice, surprising everyone. Sombra is absolutely shocked as he recognizes in you. She was a top 20 player from his past life. She greets Sombra, introducing herself as a huge fan. While he's still reflecting on this encounter, Enyu comments on his incredibly fast leveling speed. She even jokes that he must seem like a reincarnator. He becomes thoughtful, remembering that, in the past, she was on a completely different, very powerful team. Enyu then proposes to buy all the equipment he has. She reveals she holds the city's entire lifespan. Sombra agrees, thinking their cooperation will be very beneficial. He notes how incredibly astute she is, despite all the rumors. The scene completely changes now, taking us back to the real world, to a schoolyard. A girl screams in absolute despair, warning that the game's lifespan is real and lethal. Her friend completely panics, because she gave all her lifespan to Song Fei. Other girls talk fearfully, realizing that killing other players, that also drains your own life. One of Song Fei's followers is in utter denial, as he now only has one single day of life left. But then suddenly, he sees a surprising notification pop up on his phone. The news says that his idol, Song Fei, was busy buying lifespan from others. He excitedly flashes his new fan gear, hoping to use it to track down his idol. He dons his fan outfit and strikes a confident pose. Ready to get help, he races down the street, excitedly shouting Song Fei's name. The scene shifts once more, revealing the facade of a residential building. That night, in her room, Qin Xiaoyu wakes up with a jolt, confused about what's reality and what's merely a game. But a smile graces her face when her phone shows. She's become a millionaire by selling her lifespan. But her eyes widen in horror at a shocking headline. Blaring at the top of the screen, the headline declares, Shadow is slaughtering Song Fei, and he's already done it 3 times. Qin Xiaoyu weeps desperately as she reads the grim news, unable to believe her own eyes. She laments that with these repeated deaths, Song Fei's lifespan will soon be utterly gone. Curled up in bed, she ponders why Shadow is so overwhelmingly strong and merciless. Suddenly, a message on her phone pleads for help for Song Fei. Mobilizing all his fans, a dedicated fan announces Song Fei is buying Lifespan at Daijiang Square at a fantastic rate. Realizing the place is nearby, she decides she can't just stand by. She must help. So, Qin Xiaoyu dashes down the hall, determined to use her 200 days to save him. Meanwhile, the scene cuts to Shadow, who cleanly slices a giant lobster monster with a single strike. He was actually facing a relentless swarm of these creatures, clearing a path on the sandy beach. After the battle, a golden aura envelopes him, and the system congratulates him for reaching level 10. A global announcement blazes across the sky, stating that Shadow was the very first to achieve this feat. Other players are completely stunned, with some foreigners complaining about his absurd, unfair power. His status screen clearly shows how powerful he is, but he finds his lifespan is still far too low. He figures that to leave the starting city, he'll need to wait for more people to reach level 10. But for now, he decides to return to reality, as he has important matters to attend to there. Shadow then logs out of the game, leaving the virtual beach behind him and returning to reality back in his own room. A system screen pops up asking if he wants to bring his incredible abilities into the real world. He accepts without a second thought, no hesitation. The system then displays a comprehensive list of everything that can possibly be extracted. Qin Feng decides to extract his class first and foremost. A powerful blue aura envelopes him completely, as he sacrifices 1,000 days of his life. Next, he expends another 2,000 days to extract level 2, significantly strengthening his physical body. Now, with a dramatically stronger body, he decides it's time to extract his formidable assassin skills. He notices the cost is surprisingly lower than expected, because it's based on the skill's initial grade. What a steal! With that revelation, he extracts 2 skills at once, believing he scored an incredible deal for what he spent. He clenches his fists, feeling the raw power surging through his veins. It's an utterly superhuman strength. Now, his body has completely surpassed all human limits, and he's more than ready to finish Song Fei for good. He grabs his phone and sees that Song Fei is busy buying life in a nearby square, just a few short kilometers away. Suddenly, his phone vibrates aggressively, and he sees it's his infuriatingly arrogant supervisor, calling and relentlessly sending messages, losing all his remaining patience. Qin Feng simply calls the guy an idiot and blocks the number right then and there. With that old problem finally solved, he tosses his phone aside, focusing on his new life with a menacing, determined look. He warns that people will soon finally understand what the real game truly is. The scene shifts to Daijiang Square, where an ecstatic crowd of fans is wildly cheering for Song Fei. In the middle of this bustling crowd, several girls and women are practically buzzing with excitement, loudly acclaiming their great idol. On stage, we see Song Fei sitting next to a blonde woman, observing the pure euphoria of the crowd. The woman then mentions she heard about his recent deaths, but reassures him that she's already investigating the Shadow Curious. Song Fei promptly asks what she's managed to dig up about the enemy's true identity. She explains that she's sent someone to make an enticing offer, planning a cunning trap for him with a wicked smile. She declares that they'll capture him, so Song Fei can teach him a lesson. Song Fei loves the idea and comments on the unique methods her company uses to control players. She scoffs, calling all the others useless, and gloats that his fans would gladly give their lives for him. With his ego inflated, Song Fei lets out a small laugh, feeling incredibly confident. But suddenly, a man shouts from above, telling the crowd to stop selling their lives. He continues his impassioned speech, reminding everyone that death in the game is also very real. The man then accuses Song Fei of deceiving his fans and threatens to report him to the authorities. Song Fei just rolls his eyes, already expecting someone to cause a scene. Then he stands up and grabs the microphone, beginning a heartfelt speech to calm the crowd. The fans in the audience shout for him not to apologize, as he's done absolutely nothing wrong. Song Fei continues his speech, asking everyone to be positive and seek a better future. He says he's cooperating fully with the authorities and uses his assets to be an even better idol. with tears welling in his eyes. He apologizes for causing everyone so much trouble. The fans are deeply moved and shout that he doesn't need to apologize for anything at all. The audience goes wild, with everyone crying and endlessly chanting his name. Two fans then turn to the guy who complained and tell him to get out of there right now. Suddenly, his most devoted fan starts shouting, defending her idol with everything she's got. She gets on stage and fiercely defends him, questioning how anyone could believe such absurd rumors. With great passion, she says that sacrificing for him is the absolute least a true fan would do. Her fiery speech ignites the crowd, who agree and start chanting that they love Song Fei. At this, everyone starts offering their days of life, showing just how much they're willing to give. Song Fei then turns to the devoted fan on stage, and especially thanks her for all her unwavering support. Emotional, the girl cries and says she would die happy just to be able to look at him so fondly. With teary eyes, he looks at her, appearing deeply moved by her passionate declaration. Suddenly, out of nowhere, a searing blue energy dart slices through the air at an incredible speed, aiming straight for the stage. It slams into Song Fei right in the head, directly in front of the stunned fan before him. The entire audience, including Qin Xiaoyu, and the blonde woman, recoils in utter shock. The brutal attack pierces his skull as he stares, frozen in shock, at the girl before him. Song Fei's lifeless body crumples onto the fan, who freezes, utterly bewildered and not understanding a thing. The blonde woman lets out a blood-curdling scream of terror upon seeing the gruesome sight on the floor. Panic ignites and begins to ripple through the crowd. The crowd plunges into utter despair, everyone frantically wondering what just happened to their beloved idol. One horrified fan shrieks that Song Fei is dead, and just like that, his body vanishes from the stage. At this, the security guards spring into swift action and immediately begin escorting the blonde woman to safety. As she flees, she recalls seeing a strange light on his body, which suddenly vanished. She realizes with a jolt that only one person could possibly use game skills in real life to achieve this. But before she can even finish her thought, another energy dart strikes her right in the head. The guards look back in horror, seeing the girl collapse, and a mysterious figure lurking in the crowd. It's Qin Feng's shadow, standing chillingly amidst the chaos, an oppressive aura of power radiating from him. One day after the devastating event, news screams that Song Fei is dead, his cause of death reported as supernatural. In a car, Qin Xiaoyu and her friend stare wide-eyed at their phone screens. Utterly shocked, Qin Xiaoyu breaks down in tears, and unable to believe he's gone right after his concert. Her friend then grimly suggests it was murder, and the killer could only be Shadow. Qin Xiaoyu is confused, wondering how game abilities could possibly work in real life. With a newfound, determined look, Qin Xiaoyu concludes the killer is definitely Shadow. As the taxi moves, she thinks her world has lost all its light with her idol's tragic death. She then resolves that she needs to get stronger and wants to get close to Shadow. As she steps out of the car, her friend calls out to her, but a fierce new goal already burns in her mind. With eyes burning with tears and seething hatred, she vows to kill Shadow, avenging her brother's death. Meanwhile, the scene shifts to Qin Feng, who's calmly eating at a random city restaurant. He muses that even as a powerful player, he still has to eat to regain his energy. Suddenly, his phone begins vibrating relentlessly. It's on the table next to him when he answers it, and immediately gets a message, threatening to fire him if he doesn't return to work. He answers a call and instantly remembers Yang Xiaoya, an old guildmate. She asks him about the game, and he advises her to focus on agility for a strong start. Then, his thoughts drift to his real problem. Qian Shishir, the CEO's notorious daughter. In his past life, she caused immense trouble for his guild, and he must stop her. He knows that with her death, the dangerous association she'd create will never exist. Just then, his phone rings once more. This time, it's a call from Qin Xiaoyu. She's completely surprised he's still alive, and immediately tells him she already bought a house with her earnings. Unfazed, he simply asks what else she desires, leaving the girl utterly speechless. Qin Feng merely agrees with her decision, which only infuriates her further. He hangs up and leaves, deep in thought. He needs to level up fast, before everyone uncovers the game's ultimate secret. Because when that happens, the world as he knows it will never find peace again. The scene then returns to the game, where Qin, Xiaoyu's friend, questions her about her brother's fate, but she flatly refuses to apologize, claiming she sold her life force for 2 million. She then tells her friend she's heading to meet Shadow, and that she no longer needs her brother. Suddenly, a player approaches and waves, calling out Qin Xiaoyu's name. Zhang Wei hands a skill book to Qin Xiaoyu, but she silently scoffs at him. She then asks them to inform Shadow, planning to give him the book for free. With a confident smile, she believes this item will finally get her closer to her target. She fantasizes about finally standing by his side, healing him, and leveling up side by side to earn his complete trust. But her true, sinister plan? Well, he's no longer useful. She'll kill him with a chilling, psychopathic smile. She vows to rip out his eyes and finally avenge her idol. But the response she gets leaves her utterly shocked. Shadow refuses the item. The scene then cuts to the past, showing Shadow deep in a dungeon, preparing for a fierce battle. He shouts a warning for everyone to be on high alert. As immediate danger swiftly approaches, he realizes he must survive this encounter at all costs, because this creature is no ordinary boss monster. The monstrous enemy then locks onto one of the team members, who desperately tries to protect himself from the onslaught. But the warrior's defenses can't withstand the reddish creature's relentless attacks. His shield is utterly shattered to pieces, leaving him completely vulnerable. From his hiding spot, Shadow identifies the creature as a level 8 boss, the infamous golden arthropod he remembers. This monster possesses a level 2 anti-stealth ability, which means that against this foe, his primary assassin skills are utterly useless. The spider monster roars furiously, preparing to strike with all its deadly blades at once. But Qin Feng, Shadow lunges forward with absurd speed, unleashing his dark, swift aura. He then strikes the boss by surprise, dealing massive damage to multiple weak points. His strategy is explained: to attack from outside the creature's field of vision. To maximize his damage thanks to a legendary skill, 3 of his 9 brutal strikes land on weak points, dealing triple damage. Shadow's damage was so absurd, it instantly took out 1/6 of the golden monster's health. Without wasting a moment, he hurls a poison dart to inflict continuous damage on the enemy. The dart hits the creature squarely in the eye, and it begins to writhe from the poison. But the poison isn't very effective, and he realizes he needs to improve his stealth skills soon. Suddenly, Shadow senses danger erupting from all sides, and quickly prepares to dodge. The monster then unleashes its strongest ability, attacking our hero with everything it has. Seeing this, one of the mages screams in despair, warning him to be extremely careful. But Shadow remains perfectly calm, analyzing the boss's every move with his sharp, a golden gaze backed by impressive agility. He flawlessly dodges every blow without a single scratch. The girls are absolutely dumbfounded. He's perfectly analyzed the monster's attack patterns. Shadow reveals he's fought this boss countless times, having lost count in his past life. He never won before, but now he finally understands. He needs to feel the monster's rhythm, and it's precisely because of that experience that he knows exactly what to do to win. He then proudly proclaims himself one of the 100 strongest assassins, and attacks with his full, unbridled force. Seeing the boss's health almost gone, he gives a slight smirk, already anticipating his victory. The monster completely freezes in fear, realizing it stands absolutely no chance against our hero. The mage then shouts out in surprise, as the golden boss attempts to flee the battle. But Shadow isn't letting it escape, and prepares one last, decisive poison attack to end the fight. In the blink of an eye, he unleashes the skill, which pierces the monster's body without mercy. With this victory, he gains a massive amount of experience, evolution points, and almost 500 days of life. He's ecstatic as a golden boss. Gave him enough points to exchange for 2,000 days. But then he notices something unexpected. A skill book the monster left behind. It's a platinum assassin shield that converts dodge into a damage barrier. He then remembers he can evolve this new skill directly to the epic tier. Now with this, Shadow immediately creates 7 damage shields, ready to explore much more dangerous areas. Since he still had points, he evolved his Poison Dart to double its damage. Shadow also equips 2 new gold tier items, an agility ring and leather gloves. With these, his stats improve dramatically, and his survivability increases significantly. Seeing the shield, the group is utterly shocked he won alone, and immediately asks if he has any books to sell. He then offers a powerful golden book specifically for mages, which costs 800 days of life to acquire. Shadow explains that the skill is already level 7, which is why the price isn't overly high. The mage doesn't even think twice and accepts the offer, buying the skill on the spot. Following the trade, he wastes no time spreading the word about the boss, all to secure an endless supply of future prey. Suddenly, a messenger arrives, informing him that Qin Xiaoyu is offering him a mysterious book as a gift. The theory suggests she might be seeking revenge for Song Fei, or perhaps attempting to impress Shadow himself. The messenger then relays to her that the big boss declared the skill is utterly trash. Swiftly changing the subject, Shadow summons Wang Mong to the bustling city and instructs him to prepare for the coming days. However, Wang Mong seizes the chance to pose a gravely serious question. It's about Song Fei. Shadow falls silent for a moment, simply staring at his guildmate without a word. Then, he confirms it without a shred of hesitation, declaring he was the one who personally finished the guy off. Wang Mong is left deep in thought by this revelation, as the motive and timing of the crime align perfectly. Shadow then fixes his gaze on him and chillingly asks if he intends to arrest him. It's a bold move, testing the authorities' reaction. The scene then dramatically shifts to another bustling city, where a group has gathered to discuss the recent events. Sombra makes his grand entrance into the mysterious place, instantly capturing the attention of every player present. And you cut straight to the chase, demanding if he admits to killing Song Fei. Without a moment's hesitation, he confirms it right on the spot, stating her information is entirely accurate. She then smiles, explaining they had already suspected as much, after conducting a thorough investigation. However, since Song Fei was actively kidnapping players, Sombra's actions were officially deemed self-defense by the government. He muses that things are decidedly different now, and is eager to see how his rebirth will utterly transform the game. To kick things off, Sombra boldly puts his rare platinum items up for sale, leaving everyone utterly speechless. One of the girls finds this incredibly strange and questions aloud if securing multiple platinum drops is merely pure luck. Another girl grumbles about her nickname, because one is called Snow and she's stuck with black. Sombra then teases her, and she instantly gets all flustered and accepts the nickname right away. Wan Mong laments that they struggled so much to kill just a silver boss, while Sombra casually snags such rare items. Sombra then dramatically announces the prices and generously offers a discount of 16,000 days for everything, and Yu accepts the deal right away, declaring the price fair, much to Wang Meng's surprise. He admires the captain's decisive attitude and finalizes the trade with a satisfied smile. Wang Meng explains that the sale is worth about 400 million, a worthwhile investment for the government. With these items, the authorities can build strong teams, avoiding much bigger problems in the future. And Yu then invites him on a mission to rescue players captured by Daejiang Industries. But Sombra refuses the invitation, asking if the government is trying to recruit him now. He reveals that upon reaching level 10, players can use their abilities in real life. Sombra warns them to make good use of their time, as they now understand what's truly at stake. With everyone understanding Daejiang's plan, he says his goodbyes and announces he's leaving. He then uses a teleport skill and vanishes right in front of the group, and Yu decides they will split up to level up faster and not waste their damage output. The priority now is to reach level 10, and Wang Meng agrees to report the new information. The scene changes, and we see Sombra buying coordinates for silver and gold bosses. An arrogant guy suddenly arrives and asks if Sombra is still selling his goods. He offers 300 million in company shares if Sombra agrees to carry his master. But a player informs him that his master is already dead because Sombra killed her in real life. The man panics upon learning Zhongli is dead. As she had tried to capture Sombra, it's explained that the guy was knocked out while trying to collect money to lure Sombra. He then woke up chained in a basement, forced to farm life days for the guild. Lizzie celebrates that Zhongli got what she deserved, while the henchman feels like a fool. The man tries to explain he was forced, but he quickly flees, afraid of Sombra. A player then approaches, offering the coordinates of Silver Boss for 30 days. Suddenly, Qian Shirshir appears, and the players warn everyone to stay away from her. She arrives, her formidable group of foreign companions in tow. Each one of them radiates an aura of immense power and intimidation. Our protagonist finds the game utterly boring. She complains it's nothing but buying items, to ruthlessly steal other players' lives. The scene then shifts to a dense forest, where her group prepares to hunt down some weak players. In a flashback, she's utterly annoyed because the game made her miss a pleasure flight, and now she's stuck in the city. She then gripes about the local men, deeming them all as weak as insects. But her partner praises her, saying they are naturally superior to the local men. She then hears that Song Fei is dead, and recalls defeating him in less than a minute. With a malicious smile, Sombra suddenly piques her interest, the globally ranked assassin. Therefore, she decides she will use this opportunity to finally meet our hero. One of the men announces he's logging off for a call, and asks them to contact Sombra. Qin Shirshir believes Sombra wouldn't refuse. 3,000 days, just to eliminate an insignificant person. The scene then reveals the target, a young man who swears revenge and shouts that Qin Feng will die. The scene cuts to a group in a forest, where a guy is attacking a slime monster. With the whole team now in danger, Qin Xiaoyu uses her magic to heal her injured ally. He then complains to her, saying the heal came too late and he almost didn't make it. But she retorts that he didn't die, and tells him she's going out to get something to eat. And with that, the two girls log out of the game, leaving the guy alone and confused. He's furious with her attitude, and swears he'll deal with it later. The scene changes, pulling us back into the real world, revealing a very fancy building. In her new apartment, Xiaoyu wakes up starving, sprawled on her messy bed. She grabs her phone and complains, as there's no delivery service, with everyone playing the game. In a flashback, she remembers that Qin Feng always used to cook, so she never had to worry about a thing. Back in the present, a sour expression twists her face. She's lost in thought, pondering her next move. She then thrashes around in bed, restless. She tries to reassure herself. This is nothing compared to freedom, she mutters, trying to cheer herself up. I'm strong, she declares emphatically, and much better off without Qin Feng. She asserts. The scene shifts once more. Now, we're on a beach with an incredibly suspicious cave. Suddenly, a massive, red-eyed crab erupts from within. It's poised to attack anyone who dares to appear, without a moment's hesitation or a chance to react. Sombra strikes the crab with his dark, swift aura, delivering a single, devastating blow. He slices the monstrous creature clean in half, truly showcasing his absurd strength within the game. He celebrates, having just obliterated 4 silver bosses in just over an hour of relentless hunting. The monster loot earned him even more life days, and now all his gear has upgraded to gold tier. His stats have improved significantly as well. But he knows gold equipment is his current limit. To advance, he'll need a class change, and level 3 stealth to take on platinum bosses. It's revealed that in his past life, it took a 20-man raid just to kill one. Because of this, he decides to head back to the city to sell all the incredible loot he's amassed to the government. His goal, to get ahead of everyone else and be the very first to slay a platinum boss. The scene then cuts back to the bustling city, where he'll finalize his plans for rapid growth. With the sale complete, he now possesses a staggering 105 years of life, enough for countless plans. But then a strange guy approaches, calling out to him and asking, "Are you Sombra?" The man offers him a job, a real-world target with a hefty reward in return. Sombra simply ignores him and continues walking, leaving the guy absolutely dumbfounded. Desperate, he shouts the target's name, Qin Feng, and assures Sombra it would be easy money. Sombra pauses for a moment, wondering who would want this Qin Feng person dead. The guy retorts, "That's none of your business," and offers a whopping 3,000 life days for the job. Sombra finds it interesting. The money is indeed good, and the true client seems to be someone else entirely. The man then asks, "Are you tempted?" But Sombra already has a prime suspect in mind. He immediately thinks of Chien Sure, the only one with the money and motive to pull this off. It's then revealed that she's the only one with the power to do it, but she could have acted much sooner. With this, he suddenly realizes her true goal is actually to connect with him, Sombra. So he accepts the deal, but demands half up front and the right to choose the timing. The man immediately starts sweating, saying he'll need authorization for the deposit. After a quick conversation, they begin the transfer of life days. Right there, the transaction is approved. He also notes he'll go after Chun Sure soon as well, but when he receives the address, he's shocked as it's the exact place he lives. The guy grumbles about Sombra's attitude, since they both work for the same person in the end. But suddenly, a woman calls out to him, asking our specialist to wait a moment. She says she heard the rumors and offers him the location of a gold boss. The woman offers the location for 100 days and says payment is only due after confirmation. Sombra asks which boss it is, and she replies that it's the Plague Bearer, a monstrous poison user. He confirms that this monster is indeed gold level and prepares to follow the girl. She warns him that the boss drains life, but he just needs to kill it very quickly. She leads him to a cave and warns that the boss is inside, but her team couldn't handle it. With that, they both enter the cave's darkness to find a monster right away. After walking for a bit, she points down, finally showing where the boss is hidden. Down below, they find a giant, sinister tree floating with a green, poisonous aura. Sombra then pays the 100 days, thinking he can dodge the poison with his high evasion. But the woman gets nervous and warns him that it's a trap meant to kill him by surprise. He doesn't seem to care much about the warning, and she says there's another problem. Then she reveals that the plan was to get close to him, to uncover details about his real-world life. Shadow thinks the entire plan is utterly worthless and doesn't seem even remotely impressed. She explains she was completely coerced into this, and that she, like him, wants to see the mastermind behind this whole scheme. Dead, he demands to know who's behind everything. She reveals the culprit is a guy named Dongfang Xian. He remembers the guy, the very same one, who tried to steal the boss and gave him a skill book. Desperate, she begs him to take down the guy, since he effortlessly took down Song Fei. He finds the plan utterly childish, and says he'll just kill the boss first, as if absolutely nothing happened. Then, Shadow decides to weaponize their own plan against them, preparing to completely flip the script. The woman totally panics, as Shadow walks straight into certain death, since the last team died in mere seconds. She even considers making a run for it, because even if he's super strong, the area of effect poison will definitely kill him. But he activates a skill called Blessed Release and charges forward, utterly unconcerned by the damage. Then, Shadow activates Throat Slit, aiming for the monster's weak spot for maximum damage. He then becomes a ghostly, unseeable blur, preparing to unleash his most powerful attack at once. With a truly devastating combo, he unleashes an absurd amount of damage through a barrage of critical hits. The boss's health drops brutally, showing the fight is practically over for it. The girl's jaw absolutely drops, unable to believe he dealt over 80,000 damage. Shadow then stands still amidst the poison, calmly waiting for his skills to cool down. He teleports again, vanishing from the spot, leaving only a small light in his wake. Shadow announces he won't kill the boss just yet. He'll wait for the enemy team to arrive and die. At that very moment, the enemies appear. Their leader orders everyone into the cave to kill the boss. The group of henchmen then charges forward aggressively, ready to eliminate anyone without mercy. Exactly as planned, the girl prepares to hold off the 10 players, all by herself for a while. To do this, she summons a massive, shimmering golden shield, ready to withstand the brutal, incoming onslaught. The enemy unleashes their full force, attacking fiercely, but she stands her ground, defending herself admirably with that incredibly impressive golden shield. He dismisses it, thinking she just got lucky, believing she merely found a rare item in a golden chest. But Shadow observes everything keenly from a distance, patiently waiting for the perfect moment to finally strike. Then, erupting from the shadows, he unleashes his signature shadow cut, striking all the enemies from behind, all at once. With an absurd burst of speed, he dashes past them all, and they crumble to the ground, helpless. without even comprehending what just transpired. He then activates his formidable golden eyes and prepares the terrifying curse of flowers that ominously bloom in the darkness. The ability swiftly consumes the enemy's bodies, creating a truly terrifying scene of burning, fiery blooms. The girl breathes a sigh of profound relief, because if she had stuck to their original plan, she would have undoubtedly met the exact same gruesome end. She eagerly asks to be added as a friend, promising to reveal where Dongfang Xian truly resides. Later, with clearly ulterior motives, she offers him some rather special services, insisting that for him, it's always free. Shadow instantly understands her grim methods of survival and simply teleports away without even granting her a response. Back at the boss arena, he swiftly finishes off the monster, earning valuable experience points and an incredible 500 more days of life. He finds it deeply ironic that this boss granted him more life than all the unfortunate players who perished here. Noticing she's still lingering nearby, he curtly asks if she still wants something, and the girl, utterly terrified, bolts away. With the area finally secure and clear, he retrieves the boss's loot, a skeletal golden hand. He muses that it's been quite a while since he's last encountered an assassin's grimoire. Thrilled by his incredible luck, the card reveals a rare platinum assassin skill, a skill that unleashes blinding blacklight, capable of blinding enemies and requiring a perfect high-level mastery. He decides to learn the skill without a moment's hesitation, his body immediately becoming enveloped in a radiant golden glow. Then he feels immense energy coursing powerfully through him, declaring that even without relying on stealth, he could still dish out absurd damage. The screen flashes Shadow's platinum dagger, dealing explosive toxin damage. Satisfied, he comments it was a great day, and he's close to evolving his skill. With that, he decides to hunt some weak monsters to snag the remaining experience he needs. The protagonist then unleashes a skill that vacuums all the bizarre beach monsters in at once. If the enemy is defeated, a shower of golden energy rains down on him. He breathes a sigh of relief as he can finally undergo the class advancement he's been waiting for. With that, a vortex of golden power swirls around him, initiating the evolution. A system notification pops up, announcing his Shadow class has just advanced. It's shown he's reached the first tier, with a huge attribute bonus. His body is enveloped in a powerful aura. As new passive abilities emerge, he explains his attributes have tripled, and now he can even stay in stealth forever. Impressed, Qin Feng realizes how strong his secret class is. Even at the beginning, looking at the rankings, he sees his name in first place and recognizes other players from the past. He thinks his actions have already started to change the course of the game's history. Suddenly, a notice flashes in the sky, announcing a teleport in 10 minutes. The scene cuts to the real world, showing the city's towering skyscrapers at night. We see a hooded criminal being handcuffed and led away by several police officers. On the street, an officer reports that members of a criminal group have been arrested, but 3 are still in the game. The commander then orders them to find a way to force the suspects to log off. They comment that it's a good method, since hunger in the real world will force them to come out. The chief is grateful, as the mission's success is largely due to information provided by Shadow. It's explained that his help prevented a disaster that caused thousands of deaths in other countries. With this, the officer realizes Shadow's value and says they need to recruit him no matter what. The scene shifts back to the game world, this time in a grand city of classic ancient architecture. Suddenly, Enyu appears, showering Shadow with praise. Shadow, however, cuts her off, demanding to know what she wants. She explains the officials have cleared his name, stating Song Fei's death was part of an official mission. He understands the move, but keeps his eyes on his true priority and decides to journey to the godforsaken continent. He then notices something interesting, that numerous players are using the local teleport, but completely ignoring the continental one. Without a shred of hesitation, he strides onto the massive teleportation platform, because this is where the true game finally begins. The other players are utterly shocked, not expecting anyone to activate that portal. The players wonder who could have used the portal, because even with anti-stealth measures, they can't see a single soul. Then, Shadow bursts forth in a brilliant flash of light, materializing onto the brand new continent. He scans his surroundings and confirms that this place is exactly as it was in his past life. The landscape he sees is the desolate ruins of Shanghai City, a scene he knows all too well. It's explained this map is a replica of the real city, a mystery that was never fully solved. Suddenly, he senses imminent danger and snaps his head around. A giant, bizarre monster with multiple glowing eyes appears out of nowhere right in front of him. The creature lashes out with its razor-sharp tail, shattering the ground with a violent, deafening impact. But the protagonist swiftly unleashes his skill and dodges the blow with breathtaking speed. Immediately, he counterattacks with a deadly shadow cut and defeats the monster in an instant. But the danger isn't over yet, as several similar creatures burst from underground. Shadow leaps high into the sky, escaping the surprise attack that came from all directions. In midair, he activates a new skill, becoming enveloped in a powerful crimson aura. With this, he unleashes a stronger version of his cut, annihilating all the monsters floating around him. He concludes there are no longer any safe zones here. Danger everywhere. He remembers that the best shelter in the region is to the northwest, amidst the crumbling, ruined buildings. With that, he plots his path forward. Finding these shelters, it turns out, is the key to dominating the entire area. Shadow then instinctively flies in the right direction, recognizing his former guild's secret shelter. Meanwhile, elsewhere in the city, a colossal statue dramatically rises amidst the widespread destruction. At its base, a fresh group of players has just been unexpectedly teleported to this new, perilous map. The group is left both impressed and deeply confused, questioning why it resembles a modern, familiar city. One of the girls then shockingly recognizes the location, pointing out a famous landmark that somehow still stands. She immediately starts searching for Sombra, but her friend cautions that he can vanish in an instant. Suddenly, Wang Mong screams a warning for everyone to be careful, as terrifying monsters have abruptly materialized out of nowhere. Hey, Bulin! Lizzie reacts with lightning speed, casting a powerful protection spell onto her companion's shield. The grotesque creatures charge relentlessly forward, intent on attacking the group without any mercy whatsoever. One of the monsters slams directly into Wang Mong's shield, dealing heavy damage and sending him staggering backward. The mage then frantically warns that even the normal monsters here are significantly stronger than ever before. Seeing the dire situation, Lizzie leaps into action, preparing a specialized containment shot with her magical bow. The energy arrow strikes the monster dead on, powerfully pinning the creature firmly in place. She shouts that the monster is vulnerable to crowd control, urging everyone to unleash everything they've got. With that crucial opening created, the other mage in the group prepares her devastating prophetic fireball. The attack slams into the target dead on, creating a massive explosion right in the middle of the street. The group erupts in celebration over their hard-won victory, immensely relieved to have finally defeated the monsters that ambushed them. A worried Wang Mong then asks the blonde mage to deploy her owl familiar to scout the area. The owl quickly reports back that the entire place is absolutely crawling with monsters, and even more are rapidly making their way toward them. The group panics upon realizing there's no safe zone anywhere, effectively turning this into a desperate survival game. The red-haired mage suggests they urgently try to find Sombra, convinced he must be nearby. While flying, the owl doesn't spot anyone else, but then it suddenly notices something quite different. It spots a valuable loot drop to the northwest, and they immediately conclude that Sombra must have left it behind. Suddenly, even more monsters loom in the distance, forcing the group to scramble into a hasty retreat. Just then, Enyu makes a sudden appearance and yells for them to follow the trail of items. Claiming it's a safe path, the group quickly regroups, deciding to pull back, while battling fiercely to avoid being surrounded. Meanwhile, several ominous silhouettes of creatures begin to emerge from the shadows, a clear sign that the danger is only escalating. Meanwhile, the scene cuts to Sombra, who is busy annihilating yet another horde of monsters. With his shadow slashes, he glances at the drops, thinking this place is a paradise for farming, since the mobs die with such shocking ease. Finally, he reaches a crucial junction and announces that they've arrived at the hideout. The protagonist reveals there's actually a palace hidden underneath, a place he discovered much later in his past life. He explains this massive underground palace was once the base of his former guild. Before it was conquered, the place served as a dungeon, teeming with menacing mechanical monsters. In his past life, he and 18 elite players barely managed to conquer the palace. But this time, things are different, and a notification flashes, confirming he's reached the hideout. This place is known as the Soul Purification Land, and it's teeming with ethereal floating spirits. With a confident smirk, he declares that now, he alone is enough to conquer it all. Suddenly, several dark monsters with glowing eyes burst forth before our hero. The entire room is now surrounded by level 12 elemental spirits, poised to strike. Fearlessly, he confronts one of the creatures, preparing to swiftly clear the area. He then unleashes his ability, plunging all his enemies into absolute darkness. With the monsters completely disoriented and blinded by his technique, the real fight is about to kick off. He then activates his Shadow Slash, unleashing blinding beams of light throughout the hall. The protagonist moves with the silent grace of a shadow, slicing effortlessly through enemies who can't even comprehend what's happening. His ability carves down all the monsters while still in midair, giving him absolutely no chance to defend. He explains that with the mobs completely blinded, his attacks deal extra damage and finish them off instantly. After effortlessly dispatching all 15 monsters, he notes this is an enormous undertaking, with countless rooms ahead and monsters everywhere. He realizes he can evolve his greedy hand once more. If he clears everything, he pushes into another hall, explaining that soon, after defeating all the minor monsters in the area, the guardian boss will finally appear. It materializes before him as a towering colossus of blue energy. The scene shifts, revealing two other players, being unexpectedly teleported to a different location. They instantly materialize in the middle of a completely devastated street, unable to comprehend what's happening. Confused, the girl asks if this is the new continent, as the place looks eerily familiar. Then they look ahead once more, and are utterly shocked to see the ruins of New York City. Elsewhere, two more players suddenly appear, but now amidst the rainy ruins of London. Another group also instantly shows up, confirming they are indeed in the famous English city. With this, they collectively realize that everyone has been sent to the devastated ruins of their own city. Suddenly, the very ground begins to violently shake, and they sense a colossal danger erupting from below. Several bizarre monsters burst forth from the earth, and one guy frantically yells for them to run as fast as they can. But it's too late. One of the monsters brutally attacks, making the players scream out in utter fear. The scene then returns to the ruins of Jianghai, showing the very area Sombra cleared earlier. Wang Meng's group finds a temporary safe spot, and he tells everyone to rest for a moment. Anu then praises Sombra's skill, making Wang Meng feel awkward for being left so far behind. The red-haired mage comments they were incredibly lucky. Otherwise, they would have all perished and been sent straight back to the very start. Wang Meng then suggests they wait for everyone to reach level 10, so they can explore the area together safely. Meanwhile, the owl soars over the ruined city, finding it rather strange that the monsters were killed in such a precise order, and clearly noticing all the untouched loot. Wang Meng then decides to contact Sombra directly to ask if he still wants any of the abandoned items. Meanwhile, Sombra relentlessly continues his solo cleanup. He takes down two spirits in one swift strike. A golden glow appears, and a notification announces that all minions have been completely eliminated from the area. He's already mowed down over 400 monsters, along with a few bosses, earning him tons of evolution points. Just then, Wang Meng sends him a message, letting him know they've picked up the items he left behind. Sombra realizes the group has arrived, and replies that he'll sell them some equipment later. But suddenly, the hall's floor begins to violently shake. Blue energy emerges from the statues, and raw power takes over everything. The protagonist is lifted into the air as lightning erupts all around him. He turns with a serious look, confirming it. The Palace Guardian has finally appeared. A level 15 platinum golem emerges, the ultimate final boss protecting the soul purification land. The protagonist recalls that this boss boasts 750,000 health points and 3 distinct battle phases. Before, he barely survived it, but now he declares he won't even need to endure its hits. Without hesitation, he charges forward, unleashing his instant shadow slash on the Guardian. The attack hits the boss squarely, shattering a piece of its blue energy armor. Next, he uses the throat slit skill, hitting the boss dead on and dealing massive damage. But the Guardian retaliates instantly, conjuring a powerful lightning bolt from the ceiling. With that, the protagonist is forced to dodge a relentless shower of electrical attacks. We learn the boss's accuracy is incredibly high, giving it a 50 chance to hit. But with his insane agility, he manages to move faster than the lightning and successfully dodge. He remembers that in his past life, he only survived by pure luck and with the help of a priest. This time, however, Sombra declares he won't give the boss any room to breathe. With a quick combo, he shaves off 250,000 of the boss's health, forcing it into Phase 2. The Guardian becomes invincible and summons 3 lightning orbs, which float menacingly around it. He recalls that his entire team was decimated by this very skill, traumatizing Qin Xiaoyu. To avoid the imminent danger, he hurls a poison dart at an energy orb. It's revealed that shattering these orbs inflicts direct damage on the soul purifier, so effectively bypassing its invincibility. Armed with this knowledge, he moves to obliterate all 3 and kick off the 3rd phase of the battle. The orb shatters on impact, and the boss truly feels the damage, its eyes glowing utterly enraged. The Guardian then unleashes a massive electric shockwave across the entire area. Phase 3 kicks off, and Sombra explains that the floor is now coated in continuous, deadly lightning. But he vows that in this life, he won't need to struggle nearly as much to win. To evade the damage, he simply begins to float safely in the very center of the hall. He then activates his shadow light shield, preparing to assault the boss from above. Noticing the ground covered in lightning, Qin Feng declares he'll attack from the air as well. To defend against the impending assault, he activates his own dark light shield, his gaze entirely focused on the battle. He prepares to counterattack with full force. He then unleashes instant shadow slash, an EX skill to finish off his foe. The blow proves fatal, and the system confirms the soul purifier has been utterly defeated. He celebrates his hard-won achievement, as he is now the master of the soul purification land. It's revealed that this hideout offers protection, and can even be taken into the real world. This is all because the deadliest weapons, like nuclear bombs, became utterly useless on the first day. In other words, future battles in the real world will hinge entirely on power gained from the game. Qin Feng then falls silent, simply observing his new and valuable territory. He recalls that in his past life, his guild used this very place as a base to expand. But this time, he vows he won't follow the same path, and will grow strong on his own terms. The scene then abruptly shifts to a dark forest, where a heavy rain begins to pour. Suddenly, out of nowhere, a giant, monstrous creature, wielding a massive axe, appears in the rain. This monster attacks Gao Xing Jun, leaving her and her companions screaming desperately for help. With absolutely no chance to defend themselves, Chu Yuan is struck squarely by the monstrous axe and dies instantly. She then respawns back in the city, only for the system to inform her that she's lost a devastating 14 years of her life. Qin Xiaoyu reels in shock from her sudden death, while the tank player furiously yells at her for not dodging. She tries to argue back with him, but he just gets even angrier about the situation and simply abandons the rest of the group. Right at that moment, Chu Wen frantically shouts to Xiaoyu that the tank has fled, and now the boss is coming straight for her. And just like that, she too is swiftly defeated and ends up respawning right next to her friend. A frightened Chu Yuan suggests they farm some weak monsters to recover their precious lost lifespan. Suddenly, a global announcement rings out to all players, announcing that Shadow was the first to kill a platinum boss. boss. Other players are absolutely stunned by the news, having no idea who this shadow even is. The two friends are also completely in disbelief, since they can barely even take down a silver boss. Qin Xiaoyu becomes utterly furious, wondering how that guy pulled off such an incredible feat. The scene then shifts back to the boss's hideout, now silent and firmly under Qin Feng's control. And he proudly declares that he's reached level 11 and gained new attribute points to distribute. With his evolution points, he quickly upgrades his greedy hand skill to legendary status. Satisfied, he relishes the increased bonus loot and the 100 new storage slots. With his newly legendary greedy hand, he prepares to meticulously collect all the rewards. He examines the loot closely, but notices some items are unusually high level and decides to store them away for now. Using his formidable power, Qin Feng summons a devout follower to help him collect the items. He then orders the creature to gather all the loot, scattered throughout the palace into one centralized place. Thinking to himself, he realizes he still has evolution points left to upgrade his other skills. With that in mind, he improves Stealth Stab and Absolute Darkness Moment. And most importantly, he just upgraded the Flower's Curse to legendary level. He's utterly shocked to discover the skill can now absorb non-tradable life orbs. This is a truly god-tier ability. He'll never run out of this type of life again. Suddenly, a new notification pops up. It's congratulating him and informing him that Dongfang Shan has logged off. She reveals his family is at a restaurant and plans to convert life into combat power. Qin Feng praises her good work. Meanwhile, the servant finishes gathering the pile of loot. He stores everything away, commenting on how useful the 100 storage slots are. The scene shifts to a bustling city, where two girls are surprised to see Shadow arrive, and he runs towards him, calling out to her boss with pure joy in her eyes. With no time for small talk, Qin Feng tells her he'll set the prices, and she can sell the common items herself. And Yu happily agrees, and offers 2,000 days of life for the other items they acquired. He then sells off some platinum equipment, leaving Yu absolutely shocked by his wealth. Seeing their full inventories, he gives them a valuable tip about a secret teleport leading to the starting village, but he warns them that it costs 500 days of life to return. He then says goodbye and departs, and Yu is absolutely euphoric, telling her friend that Shadow must be a reincarnated person with a mischievous look on her face. She even considers trying to flirt with him to gain an advantage. Her audacious idea leaves the other two group members completely speechless and utterly embarrassed. Alone, Qin Feng walks through the ruined city, ready for the next step of his grand plan. The system then asks if he wants to sacrifice life to synchronize his skills. In the real world, he sacrifices 27,000 days and now focuses on extracting and upgrading the specific skills he needs. With that, he spends thousands of days of life to acquire various assassin skills. The synchronization is now complete, and he sacrifices even more of his life force to transport all his equipment. Now, his power in the real world nearly matches the strength he wields inside the game. Even so, he knows he still needs to gather more life for a complete synchronization. The scene shifts, and we see Qin Feng logged out, sitting alone in his dark room, consumed by worry. He quickly decides he needs to find a temporary base, since Chen Shi knows exactly where he lives. With a determined look, he prepares to evacuate as quickly as humanly possible. To make things easier, he activates his greedy hand to store all his belongings. He finds his storage ability incredibly convenient, packing everything away in the blink of an eye. With that done, he leaps out the window and confirms his target. Dongfang Xian is 15 kilometers away. Scanning the building, he immediately begins calculating the optimal route and the exact time it will take to get there. At his current speed, he's confident that 10 minutes are more than enough to reach his target. At blistering speed, Qin Feng streaks through the dark city streets, zeroing in on his target. He finally arrives in front of the Jiangnan restaurant, the Dongfang family's hidden stronghold. Inside, the grandfather praises his grandson for his excellent work accumulating strength in the game. Dongfang Shan replies with practiced, false humility, claiming it was simply his family duty. The old man then explains they've purchased a vast amount of life force to acquire top-tier equipment and skills. The ultimate goal is to level up as quickly as possible and dramatically expand the family's influence in the real world. But inwardly, Dongfang Xian plans to murder them all as soon as he becomes the undisputed number one. At that very moment, the grandfather inquires about the progress of the situation involving the mysterious player named Shadow. The grandson confidently assures him that he has already found a woman to uncover Shadow's identity and capture him alive. While they toast to their success, Qin Feng has already breached the premises, effortlessly taking down the guards. He's stunned to find a family heavily armed. He realizes he must tread carefully to prevent disaster. He summons his loyal, devoted follower to spearhead the brutal assault against them. Qin Feng commands the monstrous creature to charge and slaughter every last soul, leaving no survivors. The follower then smashes through a room, startling a couple mid-embrace, enjoying their quiet night. The commotion instantly alerts everyone in the main hall, who shriek in utter terror at the monster's ghastly appearance. With a bone-chilling, guttural roar, the devout follower lunges at everyone in the room. Dongfang Xian immediately recognizes the monster from his game and desperately screams for his guards to open fire. But the bullets simply vanish, utterly useless, and the creature continues its unstoppable, relentless advance. The follower then unleashes a torrent of searing green flame, striking one of the security guards dead on. It seizes another guard by the throat, who shrieks in agonizing pain and sheer terror. In mere moments, all the men are brutally overwhelmed, leaving Dongfang Xian engulfed in absolute, total panic. His grandfather is violently snatched by the monstrous creature and pleads for help, but his grandson remains utterly frozen. Cowardly Dongfang Xian callously abandons his grandfather and bolts away, desperate to save his own skin. All he can think about is escaping this nightmare and logging into the safety of his game, where he foolishly believes he'll finally be safe. His desperate plan: reach level 10, extract his powerful abilities in return for vengeance. Suddenly, a sinister, dark energy completely envelopes him, halting his frantic escape dead in its tracks. He's violently yanked into the air and flipped upside down, utterly unable to comprehend what's happening to him. Disoriented, confused, and now bleeding profusely, he stares blankly into the abyss, clueless as to what struck him. The haunting image of Qin Feng then appears, as his enemy's very body begins to painfully disintegrate. In his agonizing, final moments, Dongfang Xian struggles to utter the name of his killer. Shadow Qin Feng then unleashes his most devastating skill, the dreaded Flower's Curse, striking down his enemies. This horrifying ability drains all life force from its targets, and the system grimly confirms the years of life harvested. With a chilling, satisfied smile, he observes the devastating results and celebrates the enormous reward he has just reaped. The skill's pulsing, crimson energy consumes the skeletal remains of its latest victim. Qin Feng, standing over the remains, muses that the Flower's Curse, it doesn't merely erase bodies, it completely devours all life. He now possesses over 2,000 years of non-negotiable lifespan, leaving him feeling quite at ease. Outside, he hears the restaurant staff in a complete panic, frantically shouting for someone to call the police. Just then, police officers rush onto the scene, announcing that the Dongfang family was still inside. But the moment they step into the room, they quickly realize something chilling. Something is fundamentally wrong with this crime scene. One of the officers shouts out in utter shock. The room is an absolute mess, but there's no one here. Outside, Qin Feng effortlessly slips away unseen, leaving the police utterly baffled by the scene. As he walks through the city, he makes a crucial decision. His next target is the immensely powerful Qian group. He needs to eliminate the president's daughter, Qian Shishir, before she has a chance to flee the country. But the distance is a staggering 300 kilometers, which would be a monumental waste of time if he travels on foot. So, settling into a hotel room, he concludes he urgently needs to find a way to acquire a mount. To achieve this, he logs back into the game world and is immediately greeted by the familiar welcome screen. Once in the game, he plans to hunt down some of the remaining silver and gold ranked bosses. But suddenly, an ecstatic Anyu appears before him, shouting that she has incredible news for him. She excitedly tells him they've stumbled upon a hidden tomb, but a gold-ranked ghost boss is guarding the entrance. She explains they were skillfully dodging some aggressive monsters when they suddenly noticed someone from their party was missing. After searching frantically, they discovered that Xiao Hei had accidentally fallen into a deep pit. A level 12 gold boss then started chasing them, and they fled the area in a sheer panic. Qin Feng is absolutely stunned by her sheer luck. Discovering such a rare tomb with just a single misstep, he immediately asks for the precise coordinates, and Anyu cleverly seizes the opportunity to ask him to sell her any items he doesn't use. With this crucial information in hand, our protagonist wastes no time and heads straight to the exact location she indicated. He looks down at the pit, finding it absolutely unbelievable that Xiao Hei could be talented enough to fall in there. Without even a second thought, he resolutely shadow leaps into the tomb's ominous darkness. He lands below, deep within the tomb of resentment. And just like that, the system blocks all communication. He presses onward through the shadowy depths. Before long, he spots the boss's crimson eyes, gleaming ominously from afar. The creature instantly senses his presence, unleashing a low, menacing growl. And then, the vengeful ghost emerges, a colossal, level 12 gold-ranked monster. Qin Feng confronts it, remarking that he'd never faced this boss in his past life. He fully grasps the group's panic, since this monster can obliterate a tanker in a single blow. He knows this situation is incredibly dangerous. One hit from this monster, and it's over. He's done for. Without hesitation, he activates Graceful Release, and instantly follows with Instant Shadow Cut. The attack lands squarely on the boss's throat, but its defense is so high, the damage is barely felt. To Qin Feng's astonishment, the monster's arm instantly begins to regenerate. He instantly realizes the enemy is about to do something, and shouts, "This is not good." Suddenly, the monster detonates its own body, unleashing a wave of energy and deadly debris, displaying immense agility. Qin Feng deftly manages to dodge the attack, escaping by the thinnest hair's breadth. Startled by the explosion, he remarks that luckily, his stealth skill saved him from a gruesome death. He recalls that in his past life, many players had perished due to this surprise ability. With greedy hand, he swiftly collects the loot, and the system confirms the ghost's demise. He feels utterly satisfied, having obtained a valuable piece of equipment and a skill book he can actually use. The new skill, Dark Knight Ring Blade, an assassin ability. Since it's an elemental skill, he decides to immediately evolve it to epic level. Post-evolution, he observes that the attack radius and bonus damage have skyrocketed, perfect for clearing out hordes of small monsters. He concludes this new ability is nothing short of divine. He then compares the skills, explaining that the new one has a circular effect, making it perfect for when he's surrounded. Next, he equips the resentment armor, which is vastly superior to his old one. Spotting over 20 more loot items, he set on finding a powerful mount within the tomb, its sharp sword poised, ready to strike the group. A terrified Qin Xiaoyu and her friend, Chu Yuan, scream as the attack hurtles straight for them. But suddenly, the entire team is yanked back, instantly reappearing in the resurrection circles. Utterly frustrated by their crushing defeat, a young man named Zhang Wei erupts in screams. Blinded by rage, he then confronts Xiao Yu, shouting that she's utterly brainless and constantly screws everything up. Raging, he violently shoves her to the ground. The spineless coward then just walks away, leaving the humiliated girl on the ground, while her friend rushes quickly to her aid. Su Yuan gently consoles her, inviting Xiao Yu to join her in her parents' city. But she firmly refuses the invitation, telling her friend to just go on ahead, as her avatar flickers and vanishes from the game. Suddenly, the scene shifts to the real world, where Xiao Yu lies curled up in her bed, feeling utterly downcast. She picks up her phone and finds a message from a guy who offers to help her level up. But the offer is absolutely repulsive. He wants one night with her, all in exchange for just a single level. She ignores it and messages another guy, saying she's free to be with him now that her brother isn't around. This guy, however, simply laughs in her face, mocking her as an idiot for pushing her brother away. Completely alone and devastated, she curls up in bed, recalling she only has one agonizing month left to live. Overcome with bitter regret, she curls up, faintly whispering her brother's name, Qin Feng. She then convinces herself he's the only one who can help her, and makes up her mind she needs to find him. The scene abruptly cuts to a luxury apartment building, revealing where the young man now resides. Already in her school uniform, Qin Xiaoyu arrives at his apartment door. She momentarily considers apologizing, but her stubborn pride makes her question why she even should. So, she devises a plan. She'll pretend to be obedient, just so he'll help her in the game. With a sly, fake smile, she finalizes her scheme and starts rapping on the door, calling out to him. She knocks and shouts for Qin Feng several times, but gets no reply. Losing her patience, she grows visibly annoyed and uses her ability to smash the door in with a single blow. But upon entering, she's utterly shocked. His room is completely bare, devoid of any furniture. Desperate, she tries to call him, but the call goes straight to voicemail. She's left utterly bewildered, wondering where on earth her brother could have vanished. Meanwhile, in the Tomb of Resentment, Shadow was effortlessly obliterating monsters. After a lengthy journey, he finally reaches the dungeon's end. Almost at level 12, he prepares to open the coffin, bracing himself for a truly powerful boss. With all his might, Shadow begins to force the coffin lid open. His gaze is already sharp and watchful, anticipating the danger that is surely about to erupt from within. And out of nowhere, black smoke, crackling with blue lightning, bursts from the coffin, attacking a nearby monster. The dark energy spreads throughout the room, taking on a truly menacing form. The monster that was there is instantly swallowed by the smoke. Destroyed in mere seconds, Shadow then realizes he's in deep trouble. It was a gold-ranked boss, completely immune to physical attacks. He remembers that in his past life, someone accidentally unleashed this very boss. As a result, the miasma spread to the nearest base, causing countless deaths in the process. But now, he knows the secret, because he knows the monster's true form. With that, he prepares his magic ability, the Dark Knight Ringblade. It's revealed to us that the boss's real form is a disgusting plant hidden within the smoke. And this plant attacks Shadow with one of its tentacles, trying to strike him squarely. But he easily defeats the gold boss, slicing the plant with his magic attack. He revels in his luck after mastering a new magic skill, and eagerly reaches out for the loot with a greedy hand. He pulls out the items, thinking he'd only score gold-ranked gear. But to his surprise, he pulls out a truly rare item, a bell that can summon a powerful mount. He's absolutely thrilled with his luck, snagging a rare mount right off the bat. With the bell, Sombra calls forth the Night Ghost Wolf, one of the fastest mounts in the entire game. But this wolf isn't merely a mount. It also fights. It's a battle pet with incredible stealth and buff abilities. The scene then cuts back to the city, now completely blanketed in darkness. Soaring effortlessly through the night sky, Sombra speeds across the city on his swift new companion. Their speed is truly impressive, leaving only a brilliant trail of blue light wherever they pass. His focus is now squarely on leveling up, so he can hunt down Qian Shishir and get his revenge. After he logs off from flying over the buildings, he immediately searches for the best place to level up quickly. He quickly pinpoints his ideal destination, the Zhanghai Arena, a massive place absolutely teeming with ferocious monsters. With his target now in sight, he flies at full speed directly toward the battle arena. He then lands stealthily on top of the arena, which is already being patrolled by a powerful guardian. To him, this place is a paradise for the strong and a true hell for the weak. On the roof, he and his wolf prepare to face a formidable group of elite guardians. With his golden eyes glowing fiercely in the night, he readies his attack in the blink of an eye. He effortlessly uses Shadow Slash, taking down the first enemy with ease. The scene then takes us to a desolate, ruined city, sometime after the last events unfolded. There we find Captain Unju, the unwavering execution of justice, finishing off a monstrous werewolf with her mighty sword. With the enemy vanquished on ground, she and her group celebrate winning yet another battle. A guy named Ma Naoyang praises her insane damage output, saying she's the perfect woman for him. He then complains that it took them 10 whole minutes to kill a gold rank boss, while Sombra soloed a platinum rank 1 with ease. You then mock him, sneering that an archer by nature, is perfect for long-range attacks. Another guy mentions he's heard Sombra is utterly ruthless, and he even knows a cop who could track him down. The archer then suggests they uncover Sombra's true identity, so they can finally seize control of him. Yu and the other group members remain silent, just exchanging glances without a single word. But suddenly, they both burst out laughing, finding the archer's grand idea utterly idiotic. She exclaims she can't comprehend why he'd ever want to antagonize someone who can solo platinum rank bosses. The archer flushes beet red, furiously calling Sombra a fragile, cowardly assassin. He vows to ruin Sombra's reputation and then make him beg for forgiveness. They completely ignore his little show, commenting that Sombra keeps dropping valuable items right in their path. The warrior then turns to Captain An, telling her he's a bit worried about the whole situation. He recalls the infamous case of the Dongfang family, who mysteriously vanished from a restaurant a while back, and you wonder if Sombra is truly behind it, and if he's a real-life killer. Her partner points out that there's no solid evidence connecting Sombra to the case. But with a sly smirk, she declares she'd still choose to work with him and clean up all his messes. Suddenly, a soldier arrives, breathless, shouting that they've found a gladiator arena, but it's completely empty. He reports the ground is absolutely covered in bodies, with no idea which team managed all the clearing. Excited by this news, Captain Unju calls everyone to go take a look. When they finally get there, they're met with the stunning sight of hundreds of glowing item drops scattered all across the ground. The entire group stares in utter disbelief. She declares it must have been Sombra, and that they absolutely need to find him. The warrior then explains he's certain of it, because Sombra is currently #1 on the server rankings. The archer gets irritated and yells out into the open, asking the big shot to sell them some of those items. He keeps screaming like a complete madman, desperately trying to get the attention of whoever cleared the area. And just like that, Sombra appears right behind him, astride his colossal phantom wolf. The man stumbles back, utterly terrified of the beast that just materialized before his eyes. Yin, on the other hand, is absolutely captivated. She asks Sombra where he snagged such an incredible mount. Sombra explains he acquired it from the tomb, thanking them for the coordinates they provided. He gives a special shout-out to Xiaohei, who gets all happy and flustered by the attention. He then proposes a deal. She can claim every single item on the ground. The captain then notices the archer, who actually wet himself out of sheer terror of the wolf. Utterly humiliated, the guy swears revenge, yelling that Sombra hasn't seen the last of him. Ignoring the drama, Sombra simply takes his leave, soaring through the skies on his magnificent mount. Now at level 13, he checks his status and finds a valuable skill book. The new skill is Silent Stealth, which renders him permanently invisible if he simply stands still. Excited, he decides to evolve the skill to Epic, allowing him to vanish even in the real world. With his remaining points, he upgrades his dagger and the mythic skill, which now precisely targets weak spots. He also equips a new necklace, the Liar's Pendant, which significantly boosts his stats. With all these upgrades, his stealth reaches level 4, and his evasion rate skyrockets to 83. But suddenly, a massive explosion erupts in the heart of the city. Catching his attention, he stops in mid-air with his wolf, watching the chaos unfold from a distance. And from the roaring flames, the silhouette of a colossal monster begins to loom between the buildings. It's a bizarre, skeletal creature, with heavy chains attached to its blade-like arms. Sombra is utterly shocked, wondering which madman dared to summon the Steel Saint. He remembers that in his past life, over 4,000 players perished trying to kill her. In fact, she's the guardian of the church's sanctuary, and he decides he will take her down right now. With his new goal firmly in mind, he and his wolf charge straight for the boss. In the ruined city, the Steel Saint attacks a group of players with her colossal blade. The archer recoils in horror, seeing her weapon. She screams about its sharp, deadly edge. With one devastating blow, the creature sends a guy flying. He screams in agony from the brutal impact. Sombra watches it all unfold. He thinks that challenging the boss now, that would be sheer arrogance on his part. But then he spots a familiar face. It's the knight Chun Wuming, riding a white tiger. A rival from his past life flashes in his mind. A treacherous, conniving individual, that who always fled before facing defeat. Back in that life, It was Chun Wuming's guild that defeated the Saint, and dominated this entire area. His guild was cruel, forcing members into lifelong slavery contracts. Spotting this perfect opportunity, Sombra vows that this time, Chun Wuming won't escape his grasp. While the enemy guild is focused on the battle, he prepares to launch his devastating attack. Using his stealth, he approaches the group, without a soul detecting his presence. With his eyes glowing crimson, he unleashes the blade of the night ring on everyone. And in an instant, a vortex of dark energy, slaughters several players from the enemy guild. Chun Wuming is instantly shocked and shouts, demanding why Sombra massacred his team for no reason. Sombra then materializes beside him, and delivers an utterly nonsensical answer, leaving his rival utterly bewildered. Wasting no time, Sombra unleashes his instant shadow slash, to finish off his stunned rival. He then watches the fallen bodies on the ground, as his cursed ability begins to take its chilling effect. From the dead players, the curse of the blooming flower, drains every last bit of their life energy. Far away, the entire guild respawns at the revival point. Completely bewildered, Chun Wuming is absolutely furious as one of his men, shouts that his tradable life has hit rock bottom. Scared, the rest of the group suggests retreating, to level up elsewhere and recover lost time. But among them, Qin Xiaoyu cries out in despair, as her life is almost completely over. Sombra receives the skill notification, and wonders if the girl was truly his sister. He realizes she had become a slave to the guild, and figures she totally deserved it. With that, he snaps his focus back to the boss, easily sidestepping its deadly spinning blade. The monster's weapon slams uselessly into the ground, narrowly missing its target and kicking up dust. He then uses his phantom shadow to close the distance. Since the first phase isn't particularly difficult, the Steel Saint is momentarily disoriented, completely unaware of where her enemy vanished. Suddenly, her metallic shell shatters explosively, revealing a new, far more agile form. Now in her second phase, she furiously spins her chains, readying a devastating area of effect attack. The Steel Saint unleashes a whirlwind of swings with her chains, relentlessly assaulting everything in her vicinity. Sombra observes calmly, almost serenely, noting that her attacks are repetitive and incredibly predictable. It's explained she uses Playblade and graceful release, both physical attacks. With that insight, he charges forward, striking several weak spots in rapid succession. With his dagger, he then activates the throat slit skill, dealing critical damage and piercing directly into her neck. With a brutal attack, Sombra manages to rip off a chunk of the metallic plating, covering the creature. The monster unleashes a shriek of pure, unadulterated agony, reeling from the devastating power of the blow. But Sombra already knew this. The true danger was her terrifying second phase. At half health, she awakens, a demonic power that reflects all damage taken. Up on the rooftop, a player comments in shock. Sombra was brutal. He just pushed the boss to phase 2. Another explains Sombra appeared out of nowhere and instantly shredded half the boss's HP with a single skill. Meanwhile, Qin Feng confronts the monster head-on, silently dissecting the situation. He knows that in the second phase, the boss has a crucial weakness. Her damage reflection completely vanishes. The problem is his skills deal damage over time, so he'd simply die from his own attacks. He then glances at the group on the rooftop and has an idea. He might just be able to use them to his advantage. Suddenly, a new warrior dramatically arrives on the scene. They're asking to scope things out. One of the team members gets super hyped, calling him Big Brother Safety. The girl explains it all, that the boss froze up during its phase change, and Sombra vanished immediately after. So the leader asks Xiao to use a skill, to check if Sombra is still lurking around. With that, she transforms into an adorable magical rabbit, surrounded by a vibrant green energy aura. The rabbit dashes across the area at lightning speed, weaving right under the colossal monster. She returns, reporting no sign of him, since it'd be impossible for him to have level 4 stealth. But suddenly, the girl whips around, startled by a sound right behind her. It was just her leader, who tells her to keep an eye out, in case Sombra decides to rejoin the fray. On the rooftop, a guy exclaims that warrior's crazy. trying to solo a titanium-class boss. The other player recognizes him. It's safety first. A famous player known for his absolutely insane reflexes. With her red eyes glowing menacingly, the boss glares at the new challenger with pure fury. Then she strikes down with her colossal blade, trying to cleave the warrior in half with one swing. But the player remains impossibly calm, already preparing to dodge this imminent attack. He perfectly rolls to the side, evading the blow that carves a huge crater in the ground. The boss isn't giving up easily, and now uses her multiple arms to assault the warrior. Again, with incredible agility, he keeps rolling, shouting Yahello, dodging everything. The hero evades every lunge, showcasing an extraordinary dodging ability. The crowd on a rooftop goes absolutely wild, impressed by his precise rolls and his incredible composure. A spectator comments, he dodges everything, but wonders why the boss's health is still dropping. The girl from a group explains that dodging is merely the basics. His real power is in his attack. She continues, saying that as long as he successfully dodges by rolling, his next attack will ignore half the enemy's defense. And she smiles excitedly at that. The warrior gathers his energy, preparing to unleash his most devastating strike. The crowd on the rooftop is seriously impressed by the stunning effects, and one of them bets the damage hit over 1,000. With a smile radiating pure, unshakable confidence, the warrior prepares to unleash his full power. He lunges forward, executing his special technique, unleashing a furious flurry of strikes that look just like shooting stars. The final attack is a precise, decisive execution, a sword strike promising to end it all in one swift blow. From above, the girl points out that, without anyone noticing, the boss's health has already dropped to a mere third. The warrior then turns around proudly and announces that this is his unique sword style. He gives one last triumphant smile. Already celebrating the fight, he was certain he had won, but suddenly, he starts taking an absurd amount of damage, all of it reflected right back at him. The team on the rooftop panics, desperately shouting Big Brother Safety's name. They don't understand what's going on, since the boss's HP didn't drop from his last attack. The scene cuts to Sombra, who was hidden this whole time, letting out a faint laugh. Thanks to Safety First's little performance, the boss ended up using a bunch of its skills, and in the meantime, Sombra used the distraction to attack and lower the boss's health. He concludes that the warrior was good, but his class can't handle the reflected damage. The boss then turns, finally noticing that Sombra had been there all along. Sombra notices the boss is low on health and trying to flee back to the church sanctuary. He knows the other warrior's death scared everyone, and that the damage reflection won't disappear. This means there's no other way out, and he'll have to go all in himself. Determined, Sombra runs, and yells that there's no way he can let the boss return to the sanctuary on the roof. The group realizes Sombra is the real big shot, and the girl is stunned by his incredible stealth level. One of the guys spots the fallen warrior's loot, and with a malicious smile, tells his friend to grab it. But Sombra is already preparing for the worst, activating a dark. His light shield now boasts 10 layers of protection. The boss wastes no time, preparing her giant blades to slice our hero to ribbons. Seeing an opening, Sombra tells himself, "This is my chance to unleash everything I've got." With that, he unleashes his instant shadow slash, a devastating sequence of brutal strikes. 3 of his 9 attacks are reflected, but his shield absorbs the damage, saving him from certain death. Furious, the boss concentrates purple energy in her chest, preparing a devastating area of effect attack. Then, she fires an absurd blast of fiery energy, completely engulfing Sombra. The power is so immense that all the layers of his shield are instantly destroyed. He barely escapes death, as the attack was swift and shattered everything in an instant. Meanwhile, the player on the roof sneaks closer, attempting to snatch the loot from the ground. But just as he's about to touch the item, a green poison strikes his body. Sombra glares at him from a distance, warning him that he stands no chance of stealing his hard-won loot. Upon grabbing the loot, Sombra notes the fallen warrior had a lot of lifetime, which he finds very interesting indeed. Just then, the boss screams in pain and turns to him, preparing another attack with her shadow arms. He realizes he can now only rely on his shield and basic attacks to slowly wear her down. This strategy is slow but safe, and he braces for a long battle of attrition. Against the boss, the group above is freaking out, and one of them exclaims, "Now I understand how Sombra got those first kills." After a grueling, prolonged fight, Sombra finally prepares to deliver the final blow. And in the agony, with one last powerful attack, he strikes the boss dead on, splitting her completely in two. The system window confirms his hard-fought victory, and the group on the roof is absolutely shocked that he's soloed the boss. Sombra then uses his mythic skill, Greedy Hand, to secure extra loot from the battle. He gets a set of emerald armor, which is much, much better, far superior to the item he got from the last boss. As a bonus, he also snags Assassin's Intuition, a skill that lets him spot hidden enemies. Without a second thought, he immediately upgrades the skill to Legendary, now able to hit weak points for incredible bonus damage. With his remaining points, he further hones his stealth skills, which now negates all damage every time he dodges. But suddenly, Anju comes running, asking what the boss dropped. Where did he score this time? She's utterly shocked to see he hit level 13 in a single night, declaring his speed absolutely insane. Sombra gives the guy a playful flick, asking if he's alright, while Anju just bursts out laughing at the whole situation. He then mentions he has a batch of new items to sell, and Anju immediately jumps in with an offer. 45,000 life days for everything. He then hints he has something else valuable to sell, and asks if they're familiar with hideouts. Anju gets incredibly excited, explaining you can store supplies, and even activate a powerful magic barrier. Sombra says her knowledge is limited to the smaller ones, adding that the authorities haven't found any of them yet. With that, he reveals the key to her, and states she should understand just how valuable a hideout like this is. He then reveals the key is for the cathedral sanctuary. He tells them to discuss a price and return later. Upon hearing the place is 800 MU, Anju and her partner are completely thunderstruck. She composes herself, stating it's more than enough for everyone, then asks how much he plans to sell it for. He tells them to discuss it amongst themselves first, but thinks to himself that, in his past life, it was valued at 2,000 years of lifetime. Anju agrees to inform her superiors, but then asks for his help with one more critical thing. He explains that 7 gold bosses have teamed up, and that they'll pay him 10 years of lifetime to help them. He finds it strange they can't handle such a challenge themselves, and quickly concludes there must be a catch. She gives a thumbs up, confirming he's absolutely right, because they managed to kill one, but the monster simply revived. To make matters even worse, the 7 monsters suddenly grew far stronger and annihilated their entire team in a terrifying instant. Sombra gets lost in thought after hearing the news. A group of reviving bosses? That's an incredibly rare sight. He suspects these monsters are mere puppets controlled by a cursed tablet. This is a chance he absolutely cannot afford to miss. So, he promptly asks for the coordinates. Then, he immediately heads to the location. This is quite generous for some extra cash, he thinks to himself. Sombra leaps gracefully from a towering building. He glides through the city with supernatural agility. He sprints across the rooftops at breathtaking speed, zipping past a giant statue along the way. Suddenly, he skids to a halt mid-run, as if sensing something was terribly wrong. Down below, a chaotic scene unfolds. He sees a group of girls in the middle of a nasty, loud fight. One girl pulls Qin Jiuyu's hair, screaming accusations. She screams about Qin Jiuyu just joining the guild and already trying to seduce their leader. The attacker relentlessly humiliates the girl, warning her to stay away or she'll tear her skin off. Just then, another girl arrives on the scene and lands a fierce blow on the attacker. Sombra watches everything unfold from above. He realizes his own sister is suffering within this guild and remembers solving this very problem for her in his past life. The scene abruptly shifts to reveal a giant's foot. Sombra urges them, just experience life. It's explained that hidden beneath the statue, there's a secret teleportation circle, one that most people have no idea about. But this teleportation comes at a steep price. The cost, measured in days of life, doubles with each trip. This is because the starting city rapidly evolves. Monsters become fearsome bosses, and hidden treasures suddenly appear. Sombra stares intently at the message, inviting him to teleport. And he accepts, even without knowing his destination. With that, the system demands its price. The system consumes 500 days of his life, and the teleportation finally begins. Upon arriving, he finds a place bustling with activity, but he's struck by the fact that only elderly people are around. A player confronts an old woman demanding payment, telling her she now has to pay what they agreed upon for her help. The old woman gets furious and yells, "You still want money?" She shrieks, outraged, believing it was all for free. The young man calmly explains, they only want the share of life they agreed upon in their deal, but she plays dumb, yelling that she knows nothing about any deal, and brazenly calls them shameless. They try to reason with her once more, but the woman suddenly starts making a scene and starts screaming for help. Just then, Sombra materializes right behind her, grabbing her roughly by the shoulder, and bluntly calls her indecent. With a simple push, he throws her to the ground, leaving the other two players absolutely stunned. Then, the protagonist steps from the shadows, dagger in hand, ready to end this commotion for good. A vivid green liquid splatters everywhere, leaving the two young men utterly speechless. He then tells them her life is now theirs for the taking, casually adding it was no big deal. The young man picks up the item and thanks the boss. As Sombra swiftly vanishes back into the darkness, he now realizes that the legendary dream, Sand River Guild, actually originated in that very city. We're told that, in the beginning, the guild was a humble charity helping the elderly for free, yet it grew to become the largest in China. And Sombra believes the world needs more people like that. The scene then dramatically fades to black, only to reveal a truly sinister forest, bathed in the eerie light of a full moon. Suddenly, a giant monster made of twisted vines appears, roaring fiercely, a menacing green aura emanating from its body. The daughter then frantically shouts for her mother to use magic, and the two prepare to attack as one. But a brave warrior with a shield steps right in front and skillfully manages to block the creature's electric attack. With that, he charges straight at the monster, preparing to strike back with full force. The family celebrates their small success, and the father declares that together they can defeat these smaller monsters. As they walk on, the mother asks about her daughter's friend, who joined the Knights Sanctuary Guild. The girl explains that she invited her friend to join their guild, but her friend ultimately refused the offer. The mother mentions she heard that guild's contract is essentially 30 years of slavery. The father says it's probably better this way, just killing small monsters and quickly retreating whenever a powerful boss appears. But the daughter believes Xiao Yu is even stronger. After all, she possesses a secret profession. Suddenly, a volley of ice arrows streaks toward them, piercing straight from out of the darkness. The father is struck dead on by the brutal attacks, taking massive and completely unexpected damage. He can't take the hit and dies instantly, leaving his wife and daughter utterly devastated. Just then, an archer emerges, boasting about his incredible damage, and declaring their guild is absolute trash. The enemy group's leader then steps forward and ruthlessly orders the two to hand over all their lifespan. The girl panics, quickly warning them that the government strictly forbids killing other players here in this forest, but the leader merely scoffs, giving them only 3 seconds to stop talking nonsense. At that precise moment, the daughter yells for her mother to call for help on the guild channel while she tries to hold them off. Enraged, the villain shouts they're tired of living and orders his men to attack with absolutely everything they've got. The mother quickly positions herself to protect her daughter and prepares a powerful spell against the two henchmen. With an energy ball, she manages to stop one of the men, who is violently thrown back by the impact. The daughter is left completely confused, looking at her hand as if the magic wasn't even her own. The group leader stammers in utter disbelief as a mysterious force abruptly halts his attack. He feels an icy hand suddenly grab his face and sees a menacing energy blade right in front of him. and from the very shadows, Sombra emerges, holding the man's head tightly, leaving the girl utterly speechless and in shock. Elsewhere, 3 players are caught completely off guard, falling into a shimmering blue light trap on the ground. One of them immediately panics, realizing all his tradable life has simply vanished. He decides to desperately rush into battle, needing to gain more lifetime or he'll instantly die. With a fiercely determined look, he prepares to do whatever it takes to survive. But suddenly, out of nowhere, a pillar of golden light strikes him with full force, slamming him brutally to the ground, fallen and completely unable to move. They ask who is standing before them. Just then, the official hunters introduce themselves and then demand the trio's information. Their leader is obliterated by a mysterious ability, manifesting as ghastly red flowers on his body. The scene then quickly shifts as young Chu Yuan thanks Shadow for coming to her rescue. Shadow then muses that the girl possesses remarkable bravery, a stark contrast to Qin Xiaoyu elsewhere. Meanwhile, Chu Yuan and her mother discover a small, glowing sphere of light on the ground. To their utter astonishment, they realize it's a life item dropped by one of the players. This discovery leads them to believe the Shadow user might actually be a good person after all. The scene then dramatically shifts to a dark forest, bathed under the glow of a large, full moon. There, another group of players complains bitterly that Shadow is taking an eternity to arrive. These players doubt Shadow can even secure a victory, as the area's bosses revive without end. They then bring up the legendary Divine Slab, which bestows equipment with both a powerful positive and a devastating negative effect. It's explained they've already used 7 slabs to summon a ghost and successfully defeat a legendary boss. The real problem, however, is that some bosses are invisible, slaughtering unwary players without a trace. In other instances, the true boss is a hidden mage, who relentlessly revives all the other monsters. Shadow meticulously observes the enemies, noting they not only revive instantly, but also gain a powerful fury attribute afterward. Despite knowing the immense risk, he bravely confronts the monsters, deciding to give it his best shot. He then equips a mysterious pendant on a disciple, hoping to test the enemy's weakness. The disciple screams out in agonizing pain and begins to channel a strange, pulsating green energy. With a single, devastating blow, he attacks several monsters at once, inflicting significant damage to all. One of the bosses is struck dead on, but a dark, protective shadow seems to shield it. This same dark energy retaliates, striking the disciple back, mercilessly consuming him, and with that, the minion is utterly defeated and collapses to the ground, completely unable to fight back. Shadow now understands they reflect damage and are twice as strong as normal. Witnessing this, he unsheathes his Night Ring blade and roars for them all to perish. With one incredibly precise strike, he slits the throats of all the enemies simultaneously. But much to his astonishment, none of the defeated monsters dropped a single reward item. Instead, their bodies began merging into a bizarre, shadowy mass. From this eerie fusion, a new, giant boss emerges with a grotesque appearance. He realizes that defeating them all simultaneously triggered the next deadly phase of the challenge. He then spots the monster has symbols of an ancient script all over its body. He quickly understands he needs to attack these symbols in a specific order to win this fight. Without wasting time, Shadow charges forward and slams into the first symbol on the creature's back. The blow lands perfectly, and the symbol begins to glow brightly from the impact. The monster screams in agony as a sickly green energy leaks from its body. With that, the creature begins to melt and sinks into the water, leaving only a skull behind. Suddenly, the scene shifts, and several giant coffins emerge from the flooded ground. The remains of the monsters he previously defeated begin to float toward these ominous coffins. It's then revealed this is the final phase and he must fight near these ancient tombs. Alone in the middle of the arena, he prepares for the last and most difficult challenge yet. With a determined look, he calls his enemies to battle, ready for whatever comes next. The scene returns to the forest, where a loud noise startles all the birds. The other players feel a great tremor, thinking the boss has entered rage mode. They were still complaining that Shadow hadn't shown up, because the boss was simply impossible. But when they arrive, they're shocked to see the boss has simply vanished. Just then, a hunter tells them they can leave, as Shadow has already taken care of everything. The pair of players can't believe it, completely stunned by the news. They realize the boss was defeated in just 10 minutes, and their jaws drop. Far away, Shadow floats in the night, satisfied with his incredible loot. He gained evolution points and, most importantly, the tablet of the ancient god. It's the dreaded cursed tablet of Yudo's. This tablet dishes out a random bonus and a hefty penalty, so he decides to apply the tablet to his armor. As he tries to make it stronger, a purple energy consumes him, and the curse skyrockets as flame stacks to 15. Armed with this newfound power, he can even plunge a boss's defense into the negatives. Feeling utterly satisfied, he then decides it's time to evolve one of his skills. With a snap, he upgrades Shadow Cut to legendary rank, earning himself a powerful shield. He celebrates wildly, knowing if he lands all 9 hits, his effective health will multiply tenfold. At his current breakneck pace, he calculates he can reach the magic capital in a mere 5 hours. The scene then dramatically cuts to a destroyed city, with a colossal statue standing tall in its center. Shadow arrives, spotting 2 women, viciously beating another girl who's on the ground. The attackers complain, whining that they're tired, and their hands hurt from hitting her nonstop. On the ground, Qin Xiaoyu is bruised, battered, and broken, completely devoid of the strength to get up. Yet, she bravely gathers what little strength remains, and slowly, furiously attempts to rise. She bitterly blames Qin Feng for everything, declaring that he truly abandoned her. But defiant, she manages to get to her feet, promising to become far stronger than that Chu woman. She then unleashes a healing spell and swears a vow of vengeance. She'll get revenge on everyone who ever humiliated her. But disastrously, she completely misses her spell, and it accidentally strikes the hidden shadow. In despair, she realizes she's messed up once more and utterly wasted all her mana for nothing. The scene dramatically changes, and now we see a group of valiant heroes fighting a giant stone golem. Warrior Wang Ming bravely stands at the front, fearlessly blocking the monster's attacks with a shield. Meanwhile, from a distance, another trio of players intently watches the battle unfold. One of the observers scoffs loudly, declaring the men of Daxia to be weak and cowardly. But the other girl quickly tells her to be grateful, as, after all, they're fighting for their sake. Back on the battlefield, the group is unleashing everything they've got on the golem, and the monstrous golem is almost defeated. A mage then prepares to deliver the final, decisive blow. They're already celebrating their hard-won victory, but out of nowhere, a spear impales his neck, catching everyone completely off guard. Just then, a mysterious figure materializes, thanking the weaklings for their effort and, naturally, their loot. Wang Ming's anger flares, recognizing them as the infamous Sword Gang. He yells for his group not to be afraid, and orders them to attack all at once. The gang's brute laughs menacingly and declares he's going to slaughter every single one of those Daxia pigs. With a single devastating blow, he unleashes Thunder Crush, shattering the ground with a powerful shockwave. Next, the woman in the group charges forward. With her twin daggers, she launches a whirlwind attack, slicing through several players with her deadly energy blades. Victorious, she steps on the fallen and sneers. These Daxia men are utterly worthless. Licking her dagger, she suddenly realizes that the officials must have already spread intel about them. For safety, the leader decides it's time to make their escape and head to North America. She then gets the brilliant idea to form a new guild there, a guild dedicated to hunting Daxia players. Her partners think it's a fantastic idea and eagerly ask what the guild's name will be. With a seductive gaze, she raises her dagger and purrs. The guild's name will be Alice. Content, she declares that's enough for today, and it's time to log off and celebrate. In the real world, she parties with several men, to celebrate the creation of the new Alice Guild.